Probably
like
not.
what you could get one from, like,
Like from Poland?
or not Poland, but, like just a regular Enterprise or something. You know?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, cause I looked into, they never have any, I always think of it too late, there's this company, Larry Stewart, van rentals out of, like Lewiston or Auburn.
Yeah.
And, they rent vans to camps for like the whole summer.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, for what we do to vans up here on these roads, you know, like maybe it's worth whatever it costs to just rent the thing for the summer and, you know, rent a different one every summer and not, you don't have to deal with the maintenance and any of that, but.
An efficient lease program or something.
Right,
Yeah.
so, I don't know, I'm sure it's way too expensive.
If I lose the second van, then I'll get real desperate. But so far, that club wagon seems indestructible. Andy's old club wagon. That's
I think there's been, seen
Yeah.
some stuff.
Right.
Well, it's 6:30.
Evan just, as soon as he
There
sits
it is.
down, I'll call it to,
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect.
thank you.
Again, for anybody who wants, there is some cold water in the refrigerator up there like this.
Thank you.
Small one.
Ready to call the meeting to order?
Right?
Make motion to call the meeting to order.
I'll second it.
A third.
All right. Citizens' comments we'll start with.
I think you were gonna go under this.
Okay,
Heading,
cool.
because we missed, and go ahead.
Yeah, so, I'm here representing the Old Canada Road Scenic Byway. We are, as you know, they were responsible for the fast trail, and are responsible for maintaining it. And they have recently received some money, from the Say No, project, and, they're looking to spend that money here in the Forks, well, it's earmarked to be spent here, but, again, I'm also a new member to the board there, I know this is all very new to me, I'm not all knowing about any of it. But one of the things that they've looked into is, right when you get into the Forks, the helipad area there, is, since that's the beginning really of the fast trail, is trying to maintain that, making that a, you know, more inviting place, and, you know, whether it's just trimming back some brush and mowing the lawn, or putting a couple of picnic, which there are some picnic tables there as part of the fast trail now, or maybe a shelter or something like that. You know, just some small improvements to make that the trailhead, which it is really the trailhead of the fast trail, you know, keep that project moving forward. So, part of that is obviously the cemetery road that goes down through there. So I am, curious if you guys have any information of, you know, who owns that, what the maintenance of that road and area is. You know, we're exploring these options, right? So we're trying to figure out who, owns the land, you know, who we need to talk to maintain it, you know, to make any improvements, to even trim some brush, and whether that's, you know, part of the town land, you know, whether that road is, I mean, you know, the road makes a loop through there. If that loop is actually part of the road, if the cemetery road is a dead end road that just goes down to the, put in there. Like I said, you know, just trying to find out some information on that and, you know, explore if that's an option for us. It's something that we can make as an inviting place in the Forks, as like a rest area or a trailhead for people to start mountain biking, or, you know, even as people use that as a takeout for, you know, whether it be fishing or tubing or whatever, you know, make that someplace for, someplace inviting for.
And you're talking right across from the big, Forks,
Yeah, right,
pillar right there,
Yeah.
where the state plows and all that?
right,
Okay.
Yeah, off the left side right
Yep.
there.
yeah,
Yep,
Which-
that's what off the left side coming north,
Coming
on the
north,
river,
yeah,
right?
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the cemetery road you're talking is the one that goes up through Northern?
No,
Is
the
that
one
what-
that's like across the street from my house down there, so,
Okay,
you
yeah,
know, yeah,
yeah,
so,
If you're heading south, right before you get to the helipad area you're thinking of, there's a small road called Cemetery Road.
yeah.
It's got a
Well,
town
it's
sign on
a
it.
different one, that's how.
That's right, yeah, it's got a town sign on it. And
bent over right now.
yeah, and it goes to that old cemetery that, Chris mows around that, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And they meet at the huge puddle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Big
Yeah,
ball
so
intersection.
that was another thing, you know, is if that's a town road, you know, like, what's, you know, is that something that we can, you know, fill that puddle in and that stuff, or, you know, if we have funds and, you know, and volunteers, and, you know, we're just looking to make that trail actually viable, because it's been a work in progress for as long as I've been around. I know the people on the old Canada Road, committee have been working towards connecting that from, the ball field to there, and, you know, just, again, kind of exploring the options, and,
So you're really just looking to see who owns it and whether you can do some upgrades, or are you looking for the town to do some upgrades?
no, yeah, well, we were looking who owns it, you know, whether we could get permission to,
Yeah.
you know, fill in the big hole, or, you know, trim back the brush, or, you know, or if you know who owns it, and who's responsible for maintaining it.
I think we could look into that one. That would be on the tax deed, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
On
It would.
the map?
I can't say for certain, but River Cemetery in West Forks, okay, it's complicated, but West Forks now owns that. What they're responsible for is maintaining it, the cemetery itself, but not the road, because the road belongs to CMP. And it's been contentious up there, because somebody thinks the road ought to be repaired with town funds.
Right.
But
Well, it's a
CMP.
private road, you don't use town funds to repair a private road.
I think we can look into that for you and find out.
But so we'll find out definitively, but my suspicion is it's kind of the same thing. We are responsible for maintaining the cemetery itself.
Because a lot of that
Access, you know,
stuff,
that's
like
where
where you are.
there are a lot of questions about maintaining access to the cemetery. You know, who's responsible for it.
Yeah,
And a lot of that property is still owned by CMP, as you know.
yeah, I know, right,
But we can actually check into that, and I have some connections with CMP to find out and go from there.
yeah, again, like I said, we, you know, they have some funds, and they're looking to,
Yeah.
you know, and they maintain all the rest areas, on the byway.
Yeah.
And we're looking to kind of add this as a trailhead slash, you know, well, again, it's kind of in the idea process, right, you know? Is what, you know, is it mow the lawn, or put some, you know, some interpretive signage up that talks about the area, or, you know, or, you know, and make this the beginning of the fast trail as it becomes to connect and all that, so. I think
Speaking for myself, unless there's some sort of legal impediments, I'm 100% for it.
yeah,
You know,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think if we had the town had to invest any money in it, that would be another question, but as
Yeah.
far as approving and supporting it in any way we can, me personally, I mean, yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
I think the first step is to get on, to find out who owns the property and go from there.
and
But
what can be done.
And that's, we're working on that as well too, we just didn't know if, you could also help and put that,
Yeah,
information out there.
and as far as brush cutting, you might have to, get in touch with LUPC.
Right. Yeah, we had a meeting yesterday, and we talked about all of these things, and getting a hold of CMP, and, you know, and what, you know, again, it's just,
Yeah, you're at the starting point.
yeah, exactly, like, what, you know,
Right, we're at the point of
Yeah.
like figuring out who we need to ask permission for,
yeah.
Right,
before we even think about what we're asking permission for.
right.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Because the good thing is, that I think if that road is town-owned and maintained, and that is the extent to which the town of the Forks is involved, that's a pretty small portion of the vision for down there, so.
Yeah,
Yes.
Not much would be happening to that road in particular.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you'd have to find a line, like, is that a dead-end road, and as soon as you hit the edge of the mowed grass on that cemetery lot, does it turn to
Oh, I think
CMP
it ends
land?
right at the mud puddle.
Right at the end, that's right,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think we'll look at the tax map and we'll
Mud,
find out
I mean,
about
that's
the
quite
forks, and
something.
if it's CMP, we can, I have the connection to their public relation people that, I've been dealing with. So we can talk to them and we can get them on board and get them connected to you guys.
Yeah, that'd be great,
Yeah.
it's,
And
cool.
you're looking for an answer in
Oh.
a particular time frame, or just?
I think our meeting is next month, so I, you know, if you
Okay.
guys have any information between now and then, it would be great. We're just gathering now and
Right,
connecting, and, you know, this is the first step, is talking to you guys about,
perfect.
Just, does that sound right?
I think so, I mean, I think, there were some folks at the meeting that might say as soon as possible.
Right, totally, yeah.
Yeah, but I think really, I mean, between looking up the tax map, and so Jimmy had volunteered to talk to the town. I'll be at the OCR, there's someone else that's going to reach out to CMP already, still get tapped by
Oh,
somebody
okay,
else,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it probably can't hurt to,
No, I didn't think it would
Yeah.
hurt at all, so.
somebody else is talking to
Yep.
LUPC, so this is kinda all happening at the same time, kinda spider webbing out, and then we're coming back with the information that we found. And I just felt it would be good to have someone else from the board present this question other than me,
Right.
from the OCR board, that is.
Totally.
Um,
Yeah, that area is just getting a ton of use these days,
Yeah.
between, like I said, fishing, private tubers, commercial tubers.
I see rafters take up.
Rafters, yeah, right,
Skip the crusher chaos and just keep going and.
yeah, totally, so, kinda connecting not only the river between like the ball field and there, but also connecting that trail would be a cool concept and,
Absolutely.
So action items, Dave, you're gonna contact CMP,
If it's CMP only.
yeah.
First,
okay,
Yeah,
so
we
you're
just find
gonna
out
look at the
what
tax
you
We're
know
gonna
maps.
look
about
at
it.
tax maps and find out who owns it first. And then, depending on who owns the property, we'll go accordingly on who, we'll go from there.
Yeah, just let me know,
Yep.
take a look at the tax map, which I think it is CMP, and, but, again, I didn't know how much of it that the town owns too, so.
Yeah, well,
We'll find out.
Cool,
Figure
excellent.
it out.
they, the people that I've been dealing with are very, cooperative with their PR people right now. They're part of the corridor and, they have people assigned just to this area, so.
Cool. Awesome.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Great.
Anybody else? Okay, I see Chris isn't here, so we'll move on to,
Well,
you have something for that?
yeah, I texted him, I think yesterday or the day before, to let him know that he was on the agenda.
Okay,
He texted me this morning telling me that he wasn't certain that he could make it.
oh, unfortunate.
But he wanted, basically, he asked me if I would share the text back and forth between he and I about this from the first. It shouldn't take too long, okay? So it's kind of, I agreed that I would do this.
Okay,
So if you'll give me just a second. Because unfortunately, there are some other things in between that I have to kind of read through, but it'll only take me a moment if you'll bear with me. Fireworks was afterwards. Hi, okay, so initially I had contacted with him and Leon about extra hours for end of the year payroll. On June 21st, I sent him a text that said, "Hi, David Rancourt was appointed to be the new dam keeper. He was wondering about the lock code." And then Chris replied, "That was considerate of you all to ask if I still wanted to do it." Then me, "It was my understanding that you agreed to stay on as dam keeper until a new person was appointed. I was not aware you had an interest in continuing on in that capacity." And then I said, "I will share your thoughts with David and Justin."
excuse me.
And he then said, "I told you, Sandy and Evan, on our last meeting when we had to go into executive session that I was willing to continue doing the dam," which is true. "I definitely don't like the fact that you didn't reach out to me at all and went straight to reappointing. I find it insulting, and as officers of the town, you should treat the citizens better than that. Please do share my thoughts," which I have with these folks. And June 21st, he said, "Really, I am not at peace with this issue. Your assumption has left me feeling mistreated as a town employee. And also the board can obviously re-elect someone, but should have had enough consideration to at least reach out to me. I want this issue brought up in a meeting and discussed and know the outcome. I will certainly let the members of the town know about this and hope that the town can come up with better policies when dealing with real locals." I replied, "I will share your text with the board," which I believe I did. Additionally, I think further communication, this is me, to Chris, I think further communication should include all three board members, not just you and I. And then there's a bit about his liquor license, which has all been dealt with. Then yesterday, good morning. We have Chris Shute to address the board on the top of the agenda for Tuesday's assessors meeting. Have a good day. Then he wrote this morning, good morning. If If I don't come to the meeting tonight, it is because I am with family, spending time between work. I would like to express my feelings to the board and do feel that I was treated very poorly on this matter, and someone should have reached out before this decision was made. I also feel like expressing my distaste on this matter will also go nowhere. I tried to do a good job at the dam and was willing to keep doing it until this happened. I saw how Judy and Sandy were treated, and I guess I am in the same boat. If I am in town, I will stop by, but please, if I am not there, you can show the board my text and hopefully more considerate decisions will be made. And I think this was my final response to him today. I will share your thoughts and text with the board if you are not here tonight. I am the primary person who could have and should have considered that you might want to continue as a dam keeper. I did not do that and accept responsibility for that. I apologize, although I don't think that will change anything either. I knew it would be, and I hope you have a nice day with your family. You have a very nice family and they deserve your full attention. So that's pretty much it. I don't know what else to say. These guys were new when the appointments were made. They were, I know how that can go because you're really trying to get your feet underneath you, and I would have been perceived as the person that knew what was going on. So anyway, I've apologized. I don't know what else I can do. And
I have something I'd like to say, and I'll just reiterate what I've said before, is you guys did go in executive session, and the impression on the word on the floor was that he would stay on until the next appointments came. Sandy sat in this chair during the meeting, after executive session, and I was out there, and this is from my perspective, as just being out in the crowd, that she said the same thing, that he was willing to stay on until the next person was appointed, until it came around. So going into it, when we appointed myself to do it, under Lake Moxie Campus Association wanted somebody that lived on the lake, to have something to do with it. I really didn't want to be the guy, because I don't want to be the guy yelled at. But I took responsibility and full-heartedly would have kept Chris on as the assistant or backup operator, being a Forks resident rather than Leon. But the whole assumption was that he didn't want to be here. So it wasn't conveyed, and I wish that he would have came to the meeting when it was appointees, or when we did appoint him, to convey that. Without being able to apologize to you blue in the face, I don't know what else we could have done different, knowing from what we were led to believe by the previous first assessor, I should say. And that's on video. Somebody can go back in the YouTube and look at it.
Exactly,
That's right.
So, you guys were here.
exactly what he said.
And he
I was
didn't
just gonna
come to
comment
the
on that
meeting.
before you said it, because
He didn't
it
come
was
to
under the
meeting.
impression that Sandy said the same thing, he was willing to stay on until somebody else knew came.
That's why we,
And if you
the
wanna
direction
be
we did, it
appointed
was
to a
nothing to
position, you
signal.
should come to the meeting and be present and make your wishes known.
right, but with that said, it wasn't
You did
fictitious,
not
it
do
wasn't
anything wrong.
at all, and I don't know how else to convey that. Charlie has, I haven't talked to him, you've talked to him.
I've had two really sincere conversations with Chris. I like the man a lot. He's a great neighbor. We get along really well. And as soon as I caught wind that there was, an issue, I went directly to him and said, listen, I messed up. Same thing you guys are feeling, you know?
Yeah.
We all look back now and wish that we had at least sent a text or an email saying, hey, this is coming up. I mean, the agenda is public. It was on there. You know.
Actually, he took his email and he stopped it, so we weren't able
Yes.
to contact
okay.
him.
That's right.
And I didn't have his phone number, so
Yeah, and
I
that,
had no way of contacting
Yeah.
him. And he, from the day that he left office, he didn't come to any meetings.
Yeah.
So we thought.
it was a pretty easy assumption to make.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was under, I was under the impression that he was
Yep.
kind of done.
Done.
And I think that assumption kind of flavored the tone of the appointment, and it was my first assessors meeting, and I kind of just picked up on that and said, I kind of recall the same way. I don't think Chris really wants anything to do with it, and, immediately wish that I'm usually the one to ask all the questions as you guys are quickly learning, like, have we covered this from all perspectives? Is there anybody that, and it didn't even, that night, I don't have a single memory of a single thought of, doesn't Chris still want this?
Oh, it was,
so-
we all had the same assumption.
Yeah. But I did have 2 really sincere conversations with him, and he did express similar sentiment that he has, to Charlie and me. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to add other than that. You know, I didn't, both of those conversations, before we even, formally invited him to speak, whether he was gonna be there or not, I implored him to come. I said, I really think that it would be worthwhile to make your feelings known. I think it'll be meaningful, it'll help us not make the same mistake in the future, in whatever way we made a mistake, and
Well, I'm a little bit outside of, everyone, cause I don't know the players as well, I don't know Chris as well, cause he's not necessarily my neighbor, just from working here, but, from my perspective, I mean, Charlie handled it well, and,
I agree.
when someone resigns from their main post, their ancillary post, which is by appointment, is kind of subject to end, especially when they said it will end, at the end of the term, so I don't feel that anything, was handled poorly, other than maybe you guys are right, we should have reached out to him, but I don't think we should have reappointed him after he resigned from his major post, given that he lives so far away from the subject matter, and the subject matter requires a local person to run. So, I mean, it makes so much sense to do what happened.
I don't know how else to convey that it wasn't personal. I
No,
mean,
Yeah.
that's the way
it
At all.
wasn't malicious or personal,
No.
right, no, it was not
If
intentional.
he was here, we could address it to him, I'm glad you shared with us, but, we'll move on to the next one. Evan, to review the AP and payroll process?
Okay, so, it might be better if I go grab that, black, folder,
Sure.
if you want me to, real quick, because Justin and I went through this today, and I think we got it down, but it might be good for all of us to review real quick.
Just so you folks know, this has to do with invoices that they come in and how we're managing and approving the invoices and getting them ready for payment.
We were recommended by Smith to have 2 sets of eyes, 2 assessors to initial them prior to.
Good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And this is what we're
This
talking
is a
about, how we're
process
going
So,
to.
yeah, it's a processing, and this
But
is like,
it's-
this
it's-
folder
It's
will be
the
in
right
this.
process.
That's
Yeah,
right. It is.
So, okay,
Absolutely.
so this is gonna be a little bit redundant for you.
That's okay.
But essentially, bills are coming to us, and those bills don't come to me until you, as a group, have approved them. Because I can't effectuate any change to them until you've approved them. So, Justin is getting the mail, so he'll be the first person to open a bill and see it. So it's natural that he'll start the file folder for any given month's payables. And, so once he's got that bill, he's gonna sign off on it, assuming that he knows what it's going on with it. It's then up to you guys to periodically check what would be, payables to be confirmed. So this is just mail coming in, but once he starts a file folder, it'll be in payables to be confirmed. That basically means that you guys have to look at them and say, yes, I agree to pay this, bolsters or whatever. Once we get 2 signatures, we're going,
Initials.
2 initials, really, sorry, it is initials, we don't need signatures at this point. Would be down here in approved payables. Once it reaches down here, I know that I can pick it up and pay
Oh, I
it.
put it back in the wrong place.
It's okay, it's okay.
That's why we're going over,
That's
it.
why we're
We've not done the same
But
thing.
when
so.
it's down here and approved, and I'm not touching it, that's when you can start harassing me, because I should be able to see things in here that tell me it's time to do a check. Now, we've been doing AP, basically the day of this meeting, so that you guys can sign. We started this before you guys were actually, on board, but it seems to be working. So we'll have a warrant for you guys to sign at meeting versus coming in off times to always sign them. So then once we get everything, signed, we're just putting them down here, and that tells me, especially if we don't do it at meeting, that I can file these away. These are basically all said and done, and I will find a home for them when they're there.
Justin, brings the mail in,
Can I
right?
add one little caveat?
Sure.
And this has to do with the emails, and, right now, the stuff is gonna start coming into office.
Yeah.
Okay, And I don't wanna self-appoint, but somebody has to, I think, pretty regularly go into that office email, which is a general, and from there, forward emails to people that they think they belong to. Well, some of our, people that invoice us or by email. For instance, bolsters, they send an email, it has an attachment, it's the invoice for that month. So what I'm going to do when that happens is print that invoice and put it right in there, just like I was opening the mail. Do you know what I'm saying?
In the payables to be confirmed.
CH it, just
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
Justin Simpson, and put it in, cause we do get some, like, I think the APIs come in online, you know what I mean? And so,
Some
I
do.
mean, I'm not saying, but that's, somebody's gotta print those and get them in the right thing, and then also start firing emails to whomever they belong, and if they don't know, you just leave them in office,
Yeah.
or maybe they go to everybody, you know what I'm saying, but, that's something that has to be done. If it's just treasurers, I mean, we can copy everybody if you want, but if it's something about the dam, to me, I'm like, okay, something about the dam, I forward it to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So from an,
Anyway.
accounts payable, viewpoint, every payment goes through this process. Even if it's a flow through, we still have to have it, sign, the initials, and then I run it through the program, and you guys sign off on the warrant to release the checks. So we still have to do it that way, and if it's you spent like $3 at the mail store or whatever, getting stamps, cash, you would hand write a receipt to get paid. You still put it in here, and I still need 2 people to sign off on it, even if it's a handwritten receipt, I can take it. So that's pretty much it from that perspective. We are gonna have one variance to that, which is our debit card transactions. So the process there is gonna be a little different than here, because we don't have necessarily the ability to get, signatures if I'm requesting to go mail the 30-day notices. It's gonna be $200, I'm gonna use the debit card. So
Can you print the
in that case, we're gonna do email responses. Your email response in a positive way will serve as your initials. I will print those, and there won't, it won't necessarily.
Supporting documentation.
Yeah, those generally have their own warrants, so they won't go through this payables to be confirmed and approved. It'll go straight to a warrant once you've approved it, because it's an online transaction. We'll try to take care of it right away, unless it's a few days before I'm gonna do another warrant anyway. I'd save it for that, but that will be the time where we have extra warrants in the process, or anytime that we have a payment that's outside the box that needs to be paid, not on the schedule of our monthly payments. Those can be run through this process a lot faster too.
Yep. So all these, once they're initialed, I can go here.
Yep.
Correct?
If you're the second,
If you're the second-
person to initial it, you can move it to the approved
Yeah.
payables.
Okay,
Yes.
that's just the simple, that I just wanted to make sure that we're on
Well,
the same page.
and really, these approved, this one, approved payables, is when, this is where I write checks from.
Okay, yeah.
So,
So the other night I came down and I initialed next to Charlie and all this stuff, and I put it right back on top, and I didn't realize that I should have put it down there.
I'm not sure we had this refined, we're still working on it.
Oh, okay,
This
good.
is something that
Yeah.
happens,
yeah.
and then, hey,
It's a-
yeah, so.
I'm tracking now, I like this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and as a practical sense, I mean, once the payments get to me,
Yep.
I will present you guys with what you need to sign, and that can be either left on a table for a while and then go in here or whatever, but for the payments to get to me, I just need the two
initials.
So it's important for the 3 of us, when we're in the office, keep an eye on that second shelf down. And
Yeah.
if there's anything in it, it means it only has none or one initials.
Right.
And it needs a second, and then whoever makes that second initial moves it to the approved payables, which triggers him to write the check.
Understood.
And then once that's all done, we sign the warrant and they go in the signed AP warrant.
Yes, and then it'll flow pretty
I'm
good.
100% on board.
There'll be stuff that has issues that sometimes we will create another folder for.
And we have the discussions like we have been, but
Yeah.
this will minimize the coming down every.
Where does it go? What
Where does
does
it go? I got found 3 more.
Right,
so forth and so forth, yeah.
One thing,
quick-
go ahead.
One question I have with these flow-throughs, okay?
Yeah.
What is gonna trigger, what are we, you know, what are we?
Well, that's a good question
Because what are we going to see in that, you know, what is it, payables to be approved, right?
To be
Confirmed.
Yeah.
What are we gonna see on the flow through? Is it gonna be a document from the state? Is it gonna be, I mean, you know, what's gonna be the trigger for that?
Okay, so the last one was the snowmobile one, and we saw nothing. We just had.
Right, so you printed an email
Yeah,
thread.
they reached out to us and said, where's my money? That's the email that serves as the, you know,
Okay,
demand for it.
okay.
So, now, when we get better at identifying what's coming in, you know, that money came in right at our year end. And I think we coded it right as snowmobile refund money, and then it just never got a check cut.
Right,
So,
because it wasn't,
it went in.
it wasn't like an invoice hanging around saying,
No.
oh, here's an invoice we haven't paid yet.
But, you know, it was our first year end, and then we,
And we were
anyways.
just a bunch of transition and all that.
Yeah, so hopefully we just catch it coming in, that would be my job, but then it would have to be something where I trigger you to create a thing.
Right.
I'm not
So-
sure how that's gonna work.
How I would foresee that happening is an email hits the office at theforksplt.org, and then whoever, am I misremembering, were you gonna monitor the office email?
I
Susan?
don't think we completely determined.
Okay, so
who was
regardless,
gonna do
whoever-
that.
Whoever's gonna kind of filter through the general
Yeah.
office email address, which for those here, if you haven't received the notice yet, and you would if you tried to email the old email address, it used to be theforksplt@myfairpoint.net. Now it is office@theforksplt.org to match with clerk@theforksplt.org, second assessor, first, or
Awesome.
third assessor, first assessor, treasurer, tax collector at
They're all
theforksplt.org.
on the website.
It's clean, it's all in a Google Workspace, we can share
It is kinda
documentation
nice.
easily.
I
And
like
I
it.
actually printed the agenda for
Nice.
tonight's meeting myself.
So, can we, I think how that would work is, you know, one of these oddball things would come into that email, and if I saw it, it would trigger me to forward it to you. At which point you could print that or find the other supporting document, some other invoice or bill from that was related to that subject matter, and that would become the thing that we are initially, that we would find in the tables to be confirmed.
Can we have Ben ask us for the money next year and not like 3 weeks after he wanted it, but in fact, like
Well, yeah.
knowing that the money's gonna be, I mean.
I was sort of speaking vaguely about
Right,
any of
right.
these kind of oddball flow-throughs that are not a real clear, here's a bill in the mail
Right,
kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Right.
That situation with the Snowmobile Club was just unfortunate, I think, with timing, when it
Yes.
came in, when it was requested.
It was identified as that, and then, slipped through the cracks, I
Yeah.
guess, we didn't,
Oh,
you
you
know.
were.
Well, this
We
is,
had a lot of-
this is what's plugging up some of those cracks, it's
Yeah.
a great.
Exactly.
My
that's
only-
why we're doing this.
Yeah.
My only concern is, we don't know what, right offhand, what we have for the budget. So I would expect that if we didn't have, you put that in there, and if we were to say it was a big one for whatever, $50,000, I wanna make sure we have $50,000. You follow me? So,
Well, that's something that, the Forks has never done, and I wanna start doing this year. It's, so, of the money that we raised at the town meeting.
Yeah.
I'm going to have R.H.R. Smith help me, put that into Trio, as a budget item. So, if let's just use a lawyer fee as an example, so that's a variable thing. So, let's say we budgeted $5,000 and we're going along in the year and we get another bill in and it raises us to 4,500, we should be alerted then.
There's the red flag I was asking.
Now it's like, are we gonna stop spending on this category, or are we gonna go back and ask the town for more money? Because we're obviously hitting the top of
So
it
there's,
before we're at the end of the year.
you're gonna set up a control for that.
It's available in Trio, and yes, my goal is to set up a
Excellent.
control for everything that we raise money for is the budgeted amount.
It is, and I'm all about balancing the checkbook, I just don't wanna spend before we have, funds allocated.
So I think that there's two kind of inflection points, and so if I put myself in your shoes and the hypothetical, if I open up a bill, cause I get the mail and I see it's for a hefty amount of money.
Yeah.
I will likely not initial that until I've conferred with the two of you and got this bill,
Good.
it may be normal, it just looks big, should I initial this, are we good? So there's that moment in time where you can
Like the county tax.
check it.
Right.
But
Well,
then
that's
also-
what, you know,
$130 grand.
But also, if we can trust that if we, even if it's a small number, a $5,000, $8,000 number, and we get two initials and it hits the approved tables, and then with this control you're talking about, even if we've approved it, you still have a fail-safe opportunity or a stopgap opportunity where you can come back and say, no, you guys signed this, but I just want you to know that this is the context in
Gonna
which.
put us 2,000 over.
Right.
It's over what we
I don't wanna
raised.
fall into the same pattern as what we just come out of,
Right.
finding file folders with stuff dated back,
Yeah.
whatever, because it wasn't paid on time,
Yeah.
you know what I'm, that's,
Yeah,
I just don't wanna
100%,
fall,
yeah.
because we did have it this week, so we threw it over here, and then we forgot about it, I just wanna make sure that we have
Yeah.
I
that
prefer to
control.
do things that way.
Huh?
I prefer to do it the way you're saying.
And I think
Yeah.
we're moving that way.
100%,
Yeah.
okay, I just wanna make sure that we were all set, we had controls in place to.
I found it really valuable in other board contexts to have, you know, this budget that you're talking about, and then, you know, the larger categories in that budget. This is what we budgeted for, and this is what we spent, and this is the percentage reflection of that. We've spent 50% of it, we've spent 120% of it already, and you do that check-in on a monthly basis, and so you can kind of track it, you can see.
I
haven't
mean, I
seen
think
through-
it's incredibly important because of the way we raise our money is through
Right.
taxation. So if we budget something, we should stick within that budget.
100%,
And if we're not, we should address why we're not.
100%.
One thing that, it may not be directly related to this process you just explained, but something I think in multiple ways the three of us identified today, yourself, Evan, and me and Charlie, was, some of the way that some of the timeframes that our routine monthly billings happen don't necessarily jive well with, paying them on the day of these meetings.
I know.
So we might have to start getting ahead of things, like, there's a bill that is for August 5th, so that could easily have been put into the,
July.
well, it could have been put into the August folder, rightfully so, it's got an August date on it, but our meeting is not till after August 5th, so when that money gets paid, it'll be a week or two late.
And then things cross in the mail.
So we really need to be focusing on, it's not necessarily the month it's in, but is it due prior to or after our
The
next meeting? If we're gonna do all these payables on the day
If
of
it's
the
a
meeting.
big enough payable that's due at the beginning of the month or something that comes in and it was something that's not, monthly, and, then we'll run a special AP warrant for it.
Okay,
And so we don't miss that date, but if it's,
Okay.
you know, but
this was like a consolidated bill, like
Yeah, and
August 5th. or
I
something
mean,
like that.
I'm a believer of paying early versus late, so
I don't
if,
like late fees or interest.
yeah, I don't like them at
Or the
all.
confusion when it crosses over that it happened today, you owe this much, no, we already paid that, but they didn't get the check.
Like the LUPC,
You know, same my
That's
things,
right.
and that's what happens, it happens with the dump too.
Alright.
If you flirt too close to that line, they start mailing late fees before they receive the check that's already in the mail to them. That is on time.
Okay, so we're all on the same page, we're going in that
Yeah.
correct, that direction, that's
yeah,
good.
if you guys sign bills and it's, for the next month, but at the beginning of the month, and it's in the prior month, you know, payables, I'll pay it. I mean, you guys signed it, I'll pay it.
Yeah.
And I understand the philosophy
Yeah.
behind it, so.
So if a bill is due prior to our upcoming meeting,
Pay it,
or
pay it.
the next meeting, put it in
Sign
the
it off.
current month's
Yeah.
folder.
Makes sense to me.
I like that.
And that's something that we can actually, put into writing and then cut and paste that into our little policy
Yeah.
things.
Start
That's a,
being-
po-
start
that's
being
a
official.
policy on how we pay our bills.
100%.
You know,
Officers being official.
right?
Maybe I just had to stock in an improvement to this, instead of calling it July payables and August payables, we could use the specific dates, so today is the 16th, am I right?
Yeah.
So it could be payables July 17th to August, the day before our next meeting. It just, instead of just July payables on the little tab on the folder, actually just throw the dates on there. July 17th to August, I gotta pull up my calendar, see,
And
whatever.
that is your folder, and so I
Okay,
say, yes, I
Okay.
can do that.
so on the next folder that I make, it'll say
Yeah,
July
I'm
17th
down.
to August 19th,
And then you'll have
20th.
another one that's August 20th.
August 21st to September 17th.
Perfect.
Take out all the opportunities.
so for payroll, I don't know if that was on the list. but
It is, yeah.
Okay, so payroll, we don't have as clear of a process for that. And, but Charlie's creating the payroll reports that I ultimately use to cut the payroll checks. But we really should have one more set of assessors' initials on it before I get it. And Charlie's doing it the same way Sandy did it.
Yep.
So it's not like he's doing it different, but I still believe we should have one more assessor
There's
on
an
the way.
opportunity for error, so. yeah.
Well, it happened just this week.
Oh,
You
did-
know, yeah, I shorted Chris, 16 hours, cause
Oh,
I just
okay.
didn't, it was a little, anyways, yeah, I didn't do it properly, and
Yeah.
then I was going.
And I didn't catch it.
And I was going over with Justin about, how to look at this and what the supporting documentation and this and that, and I'm like, oh, look at that, and we could've, Evan very graciously just ran another warrant, another check to cover, the week that, I shorted him 16 hours. But again, if there was a second set of eyes, we might have caught that before.
Yeah.
Then let's
Before.
make that part of the policy. Because-
And I just like, if we require 2 initials on, our payments, we should require 2 initials to
agree.
get paychecks going.
100%.
I agree.
So we just need to change that payroll form where it just says assessor signature, have another line that says the same thing.
I think so.
Two lines that say assessor signature,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
And
On
then
that-
Charlie, I don't know if you'll, reach out to one of them to have them do that, or if.
no, I.
Could it just go in the
I'll do that.
payables to be confirmed folder?
It can,
It's the
I could do
payable.
that, I could put it payroll to be confirmed, right?
it
Well,
can,
we don't
it can
really-
still be, we can use this for both payroll and AP, I don't mind, this whole
Okay.
thing.
As long as the folder's marked payable.
Yeah, you just put it in a separate
Which would be
folder.
for you guys, just another
Yep.
set of eyes,
Yep.
so.
So
I try to
that's-
come down as often as I can.
Same, yeah. So that second shelf from the top is the most important one for the 3 of us to keep an eye
Keep
on.
an eye on.
It is, 'cause
Okay.
payables to be confirmed means that it needs initials.
To be processed.
Payable
To be
or
processed.
payroll.
If it's down here,
And
it's
payroll,
been approved and I'm ready to process it.
Yeah.
And then, these should be completely signed, and really, they should be left on the table until they're completely signed.
And then they go in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's for me to file.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
anyway, yeah, I'll go put this away real quick.
Great, Evan, thank
Good
you.
stuff.
Perfect.
Oh, I didn't, can you jump ahead on the new board space thing?
No, we haven't got the-
No, I just brought it up out of order a little bit.
No worries. All right. So, number 4, B&B discussion and appointment of agent. Anybody want to start that discussion?
I guess I can start it, we received an email from, Janice Malloy a couple weeks ago now.
Yeah, probably 2 weeks
2 weeks
ago.
ago, stating that she was not gonna serve as our BMV agent beyond, the end of July. Prior, we had made an agreement, with her to go through the end of September. We thanked her for her service and that she's helped us to the extent that she has. I don't really know what might have triggered it, and it doesn't really matter that
Mhm.
particularly much. We do appreciate, the help that she offered us, but it has left us a little bit,
Yeah.
behind the 8 ball with that, so.
And we've asked Denise from the West Forks to fill in, and she's offered to fill in. Now, she has some restrictions that she's gonna talk about. She just showed up just in time.
Yeah. So, not really restrictions, but, I did discuss it at our meeting before I came here, and their only concern is they wanted me to do it here. Because it's such a short period of time to bring all the inventory there, do an inventory, and then bring it all the way, not all the way, but bring it here, then do another inventory check. And they were also worried about getting, checks, having checks come in from 2 different places, and it was a concern that, if a check from here got deposited into the West Forks by accident, so they just, the assessors there felt more comfortable if I did it out of here.
So, yesterday I went to the BMV class in Milo, and, if you do fill in, so right now, we are only gonna be allowed limited, registrations.
Right,
So that means we aren't gonna be, for 6 months, the Forks will have 0 plates. So anybody who buys a vehicle and trades in their vehicle and takes those plates and brings them back to us, we could register that. But if you don't take those plates and you need new plates for your new car, then we can't do it. And in that case, we would send them over to the West Forks or to here. And it requires, according to Wendy King, a written agreement from all 6 assessors. So it needs a written agreement from us, and it needs a written agreement from the West Forks to be filed with the BMV agents.
So you said, for 6 months, if we had to issue plates, they would go to Denise?
What she said was that we're on a trial basis, so if in 3 months she sees that we're doing it relatively well, then the BMV agent would have to take the, updated classes, and she actually came here when Angela was,
Okay.
because we talked about when those classes are going to take place. And they do have one today in Milo and tomorrow, for the more advanced. I've already taken the class before, and Wendy knows that I have. It doesn't mean that I remember everything, but,
There's a chance our probation period would be a little bit abbreviated.
I
Okay.
feel confident that it would.
Okay.
Is it, does that probationary period start when we officially open, like, this doesn't start now, it would be when Denise will fill in
right.
until you're prepared to do it, and then
Well-
when you trigger that, that starts the probationary period?
In my, I think that, Janice is gonna do it till August 1st. So
Oh, okay,
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure I would be up and running by August 1st.
Okay,
so you may not even need new.
Well, no, for new registrations.
new
Right,
registrations.
just for new
Well,
registration.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I
Now-
talked
Could be
to,
by appointment or something.
Now, if you get the inventory, because you'll have to get your inventory,
right,
will you be able to keep plates here even though I can come in and register?
I
There
guess,
was
I, that
I would
would have
ask
to be a
that
Wendy
question,
question.
because that would make it way more convenient if you could have plates
The
here.
Forks inventory here for you to,
Yes, and then even
I
though
would
you
use-
can't do the new registration, I could come in and use
The
your
stuff.
plates.
Yeah,
okay.
I was hoping
like
to somehow, set up some hours so that people in the town know that they don't have to call and make an appointment, that we're here every Wednesday or every, I don't know if that would, it's gonna be difficult for you. I think that a new vehicle is gonna be an exception, so
Mhm.
maybe that's something that we'll put some sort of a notice up on the
Right,
website to
yeah.
explain all this. And if somebody does have a new registration, then it would be by appointment.
Until you get up and running.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
So I was just there Monday,
yeah.
and the way she said it to me, it sounded like she was just getting done, like not doing the job anymore. They're like, goodbye, Forks Maine, we're not doing it for you, like that.
really
She
wasn't
didn't
much
provide,
explanation.
no, she just sent us an email and said, unfortunately, I will not be able to continue registering vehicles for the Forks
Oh,
as of August 1st.
cause I don't know, but the way she said it to me, it sounded like she was just getting done being the B&B person down there, so.
Maybe she is,
You know?
she didn't provide any explanation.
I don't know
to
either,
us at
but
all.
the.
She's a tax collector also.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So even if she is getting done, they'd still have to go through the same thing and get
get another person.
So
Training
probably
and all
just,
that
they're
stuff.
probably like, there's no way we can take on another town if we train somebody to do our town probationary.
Yeah, I don't know.
it could be
so
that
she's
she's walking out.
leaving her position there in.
I don't know, now that you said that, it's just like, oh, well,
Uh,
I was assuming, cause I said to her, cause she's really good at it, well, maybe I'll just come down before the end of the month, and register all 18 of my vehicles
Pretty
in
good idea.
August. And,
I did that for August.
yeah.
Nothing personal,
Hey,
but.
Yeah, nothing personal, but you know
I'm
what I
going
mean?
down there.
Yeah, right, I'm sorry, but, that's interesting, no, like I said, the way she said, what I walked away thinking was that
We all have.
she quit, or was leaving the job, not, but
It could be, we didn't really
No, she
inquire.
didn't offer any,
You didn't offer an
didn't
account.
offer, or
No,
didn't say,
we-
well, somebody else will be doing it, just see you later.
no, we reached out to her and she just told us what we owe her, and that was it. Still
So,
no
just real
Okay.
quick, we currently don't have the module in Trio for BMV, so we have to get that module.
No, we're a manual town, you were right, Denise.
Oh, you
We've
don't do it in
always been
Trio.
manual.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
so never mind. We don't
And
get
I
it.
don't know why, like, out of, you have 2 parts or 3 parts of the program, and to me, BMV would be the most, that's where the most errors are made. It's very,
So Charlie called Trio yesterday to get a quote, and from what Wendy told me, she didn't have figures, but she has heard that it is exorbitantly expensive
For as
for that
much.
module,
yes.
for the few vehicles that we
Yes,
have, even
yes.
if we're
Okay.
registering 100 vehicles.
Yeah. And I know
It's-
you said before that you thought maybe that you could be expedited, and that may be true, but it is also because you are a small town, you don't do as many registrations.
Right,
So it does unfortunately sometimes take longer, because you're gonna have some months where you only do 3,
right.
because a lot of people will do them online.
It's a repetitive process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
It
it's,
is, it is.
So,
yeah,
I mean, the thing, I worked in, Emden when Ruth Blake was like ill for like a month, and I did in Trio, and then when I was
is
working.
it easier in Trio?
It was pretty, well, I mean, you still had those, you know, my father
Crazy
just died
ones,
and I have this car and, I'm, you know, and you're
You
like,
gifted it to me, so I
I don't
don't
wanna
have to pay
take the
sales
Right,
box
tax.
off my car and put it on that
Oh,
car, and move those plates to my brother's car, and
Yeah.
buying it for me
So-
next month.
yes, you still have those situations, that you have to get through, but, and BMV is like really short. Did you, Tina, I think, retired, and so the
Oh,
only
it's
one that they
short.
have working is Wendy. So when you call for help, it's Wendy. And if it's not Wendy, it's Wendy, pretty much.
Poor Wendy.
I know it.
Just so I have it straight, after August 1st, if it's a re-registration, check on Susan's hours and she can take care of it. If it's a new registration, where we need a new plate, we should make an appointment with Denise.
But I have a couple of questions about that
I think
first.
it hasn't been decided.
Number one,
Oh, it hasn't been decided,
Just
okay.
discussed.
we have to have that agreement. I don't know what the term, how that should read, whether that's
There's a
legal.
form,
That's what I was
there's a
wondering.
little
Okay.
form that you fill out.
Then the next thing is the West Forks. I just wanna review what their concerns were about if they entered into this agreement with us, had to do with, do you get 2 checks, one to the town?
Yes.
And then one to what, the Secretary of State, is that how
Yes.
it works?
Yes,
And so their concern was that it might have be made out through the Forks plantation and end up in a West Forks
yeah, they were
deposit.
just making different
Well,
scenarios,
yeah, but it's,
cause it's such a short period of time
Yeah.
that it seems nonsense to, have checks up there and then have the West Forks write checks out to you guys if they write it out to the Forks, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then to bring checks to Evan, to give him to deposit, it just seems like a lot of back and forth. I'm gonna have stuff in my car. I don't know if you've ever seen my car, but.
what I have,
It's like my car.
I have.
If we
I
send them-
always have briefcases full of stuff and laptops, and it just, I don't want that,
One more.
Grandbaby stuff.
yeah,
We've
But
got
if we
Yeah.
send them to the branch, like a branch, they have to go all the way to Augusta. So I'm thinking that that's super inconvenient for people.
So Susan, are you on track to be able to do this by August, is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Now,
I mean, I didn't get a certificate yesterday because she somehow didn't realize I was, whatever, she knew I was gonna be there, but then she didn't print it. The other 3 got, their certificate, so.
Okay, so you'll,
She's teaching today and tomorrow, so I'll get in touch with her. on Thursday and basically make sure that I know about, because there's a ton of inventory, just doing what I'll be doing is, you know,
So,
1,000 different forms.
After
and-
August first, now we talked a little bit briefly when we first discussed it with Denise about compensation. How's the compensation gonna work as far as the BMP agent?
That's a really.
Well, I
good
assume you're
question.
gonna be doing it, right? Cause you're gonna be certified by then, and you're only gonna need me for new registration,
Right,
so.
Can we, so yeah, originally the compensation question was just transferring the $250 a month we were paying Moscow to $250 a month to Denise at West Forks.
That's why.
Now it's a little more blended.
Yeah,
where-
cause she's gonna be doing
So
the majority of it.
Is there an amount that is appropriate, like on a case-by-case basis, you know, like if there's
Per
Yeah,
registration.
two new
whatever you need-
registrations?
Whatever you need to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
How many are you gonna do?
I know, it's not gonna
However
probably
many
be a
seats.
lot,
I mean, you should
Unless
determine
you
what
guys
that's.
don't
Unless I
know.
show up with my 18
I
vehicles.
was gonna say, if the
Are
new
they all
vehicles.
new?
There's new ones, Jenny.
Yeah. Just, you know, I don't wanna push it, but if you find any way to register new buses at any time in the
Right.
future around.
You gotta go to Augusta
You
on
have to
those.
go
Yeah.
to a restaurant
They won't do them.
now. No.
Right,
You
well,
have to
I'd
pay
ask,
excise tax here and
Right,
then,
yeah.
and then next year you can do them as re-regs,
Right.
but
Right.
not.
well, I'd asked the lady in Moscow about it, and she said that some towns do register them, and you know, not all towns you have to go there, so it's like, well, how do we figure that out?
I
So
think you have to
anyways.
get, after you get your
It's
new,
another
you have to go to truck, you have to be
Yeah.
able to have a truck registration.
Guess we'll just go to Augusta, it's
Level 3 training.
So,
fine.
yes,
Level three.
I've been
exactly.
doing it for years.
So I could foresee it going like, you know, to your question, Chuck, if you're gonna, you know, staff the BMV hours and then field inquiries about new registrations, could you interface with Denise on scheduling that and say, you know, I'm gonna need you to come in for this, if we land on like Wednesday from 2 to 5 or something, and you get an inquiry about a new registration, and you can interface between those two, Denise and the other party, to say,
right, yes.
we're not quite set up for new registrations yet, but we have someone that's helping us do it, can we schedule a time, since it's
That
not.
works for everybody.
And here's another idea, is that we put it on the website, and
Yes.
would you be offended if I put like your information with the town office number to say, you know, if you have a new vehicle, then you have to, at this point, and we'll update it as we do that.
Now, do they have inventory for you, or is she using all their inventory for your registrations
Who-
in
who-
Moscow?
I have, no,
I think
I
they
don't
were
know.
using their inventory,
Oh, they
my
might.
plates were reflect down there.
what my understanding is that Wendy is gonna get all the inventory
Yeah.
that we're gonna need for
Yeah.
the limited,
Yeah.
BMV registrations. And I did ask her about that downloading thing so that we can get rapid renewal for
Yep.
it. So she was checking on that, but she's so busy with the class right now, I didn't wanna bother her today.
So that brings me back to the compensation. I don't wanna see Denise go without compensation, and I don't wanna take too much away from you, or how it's gonna work. I don't know what the two of you can find that's fair.
So we could go to you and re-register 2 vehicles that we have that are up in August, let's just use that as an example. And then we buy a new one in August, so you would do the 2 renewals, and we would make an appointment with Denise to do the new one.
Unless you kept your old plates, and if you
Well,
keep
yeah,
your
but
old plates.
You don't know us, we wouldn't
Yeah.
even know where they were.
But if you traded in at.
Well, I
whatever.
understand, but,
But for the sake of this hypothetical, if you
yeah,
didn't have
we've
plates,
always had.
you would make
Never
I've
been
never
able to
used
do
it,
that.
but I mean,
But
that's a
anyway,
thought.
you would make an appointment with Denise to
Right.
meet here.
Yeah.
And, I mean, all right, so now the town can't take on paying an additional sum to Denise because that's already been decided, I see.
But the $3,000, I mean, she can get paid out of that.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
not,
that's the only
that's
way.
why I
I'm
just
not really
wanted-
worried.
No, but just to keep track of, so
I
then
think
you
we
would
should
keep
though.
track
I
of
mean,
how
if you
many
come
you
here-
Well, that's $250 a month.
Yeah,
So that's gonna be going, that's no longer be paid to Moscow,
It'll be paid to Susan.
paid to
What if-
Susan, and then
what if
some of
she-
that will have to go to her based on the workload that is put on her.
right.
We'll just figure
What
out
if,
that.
so I think that
Or-
it turns out to be $250 a month.
Mhm.
So if you come here, tell me if you think this is fair, we pay $17.60 an hour. If you come here and you're here for an hour, you get $17.60 out of that $250. Does that sound, and if you're here for 2 hours or an hour and a half, you need, driving time and
Yeah.
whatever, you need
Right.
to cover your
You paid at the
time,
end
not
of the month.
only while you're here, but getting here too, I was thinking.
Does that,
That
So
is fine, yep.
Do we have a current payout process for subcontractors? Would that go under that?
No, because it's gotta go,
She has to pay
She,
her.
out of her pocket.
Oh.
She has to pay,
Right,
not
so
the
she
town.
would essentially be like a deputy, right?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Temporary deputy, okay.
Now, I don't
A
know, we
deputy
have
that
to
has
run it
more ability.
separately, like, out of a payroll, like, you get less, whatever, she
Yes.
gets that out of payroll.
That's what I was gonna get, what's it gonna look like on the payroll?
Yeah,
Is it
so
gonna
I
look like
think
an
you're-
employee or a subcontractor?
I think you get the payroll, correct? The $250, and then
It
you
would
have
be,
to
I don't
pay
think hers would be run as payroll,
her? I don't think so.
We didn't run Janice's as payroll,
No,
How did you,
we
just.
ran it as an
paid
AP check
Oh,
to the town of Moscow.
So could we just
Something
have
like that.
a
So
handwritten
maybe
receipt?
maybe you get $25 for each one, or something like that. What does that sound like?
Well, that depends, I mean, you might get,
Right.
yeah.
Might be
fewer-
more than
fewer
enough for
ladies
one
or
and not nearly enough for another complicated scenario, I like the hourly rate, I was just getting to the point of what will it look like on the payroll warrants?
I
What would
don't
be-
think she could be on the payroll.
I'd like to see the two, yeah, I mean, I know, I don't know if she'll get paid out of payroll.
I don't think so.
It's fine.
Can we
I
not
don't
put it on
really
the same
care.
warrant, but just draw it from the account that is
It'd be on,
already
it'd be on the
delegated?
AP warrant. you know?
Sure, okay.
Yeah, so it would actually show up on the,
So if, just for the sake of easy numbers, if there was, in a month, there was 1 hour worked by Denise, it would be $250 minus $17.60 going to Susan in payroll.
so the
And
payroll
that's
report would show the
17.60.
deduction, and then she would show up in the AP folder.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But the,
Would it, well, would it paying her directly or West Forks?
I think we'd pay her directly, but
Okay.
it would be cut as an AP,
right.
just a check.
Okay, as
Like
long,
an
I just wanna
it
make
would
sure
be
it's a
like
good
an
paper trail.
invoice.
Mhm.
It would be more of an invoice,
Yep.
not a payroll.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I
So
think,
there, as long as it'll be a paper trail.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And then you'd get the agent fee,
Right, yes.
obviously.
So we could do up a simple invoice template that, that has your
Yeah.
name on it. In the month of August, I worked this many hours, if that
Yep,
gets
and
into
then I
our,
can put on there how many agent fees,
Yep.
because for every new registration is a $6 agent fee that is added. So,
okay, and that would be passed
Added
over
to
to
it.
you?
yeah,
Yeah, okay,
so it'd be $17.60, is that what you said, plus the $6,
okay.
which is standard.
And please feel comfortable, reminding us of those little things.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
that,
if I have like an invoice sheet, I
Yep.
can fill it out and.
yeah,
So, okay, we hashed that out. Now, the forms that need to be assigned by the 6 assessors, are they on a website or are they
I believe you get it from BMB.
BMB?
Yep.
Is that something you could follow up with?
Yes.
Okay, great.
You know, it's an absolute pleasure to sit in the side of this meeting and watch this process and see how much you accomplish and how well you do it.
Amen.
It's
Thank you.
more
I would
power.
second that.
It's amazing,
Light years.
amazing. Yes, thank you.
I don't believe that we officially appointed a BMB
No,
agent.
we haven't.
No, I make a motion, we appoint Susan Hathaway as our BMB agent.
I'll second that. Call vote?
Huh?
Call vote,
Call for a vote, all in favor?
I'm gonna abstain.
okay.
Okay,
2-1, then 2 or 2.
motion is passed.
Yep.
Susan Hathaway, thank you very much.
Yes.
So we will, make sure to publish as soon as things get concrete, what the hours will be. We'll make sure they
Yes.
work for you,
Yeah.
for the time being that they work for Denise as well. And, so there could be, just be bear with us, cause maybe it'll be certain hours for August in September till the end of this probationary period, then it'll be different hours, but.
That's not.
The other constraint we're up against is, you know, and I brought this up at our last workshop, is, making sure that we're being fair and equitable on the amount of money the town has raised to do this, and then the amount of hours that we're asking someone to do it, and what that actually works out to for a pay rate. That it's at least somewhat palatable, that we're paying the person doing it enough to.
Understood. Right now, we're working within the restraints that. we've
Exactly.
given
That's
through.
right.
As we move on, we make note, and hopefully we can sort all this out for next year, start
Yep.
a fair.
Yep.
And things will be smoother. It's been an awful lot of extra work, and it doesn't go unnoticed. Okay, we all set with BMV discussion?
I am.
All right, number 5, the pay increase for the mowing position. Charlie?
Yeah, I guess I'm sort of assigned to, overseeing the maintenance, of the buildings and the properties here, working with Chris Mann. And I just feel that the $250 that he is currently being paid is inadequate. He uses his own truck, hauls the mower, which is ours around, and I did it in my head, what I would charge if I was doing these properties myself, if I'd be, okay, I've got Mountain Cemetery, River Cemetery, Town Hall, the Little Monument, and I believe Lot 1A up at Moxie. And, I came up with around $350 to $400. Harold McManus got $350 to do it. Chris Mann got hired, and it was changed to $250. It's not enough, it's not fair.
Is that a month or is that?
Per job, for doing all those, so every time he does a cycle,
Okay.
every time he does a
So
cycle,
how many does he, I mean, is that like,
it varies, it's, you know, it's not,
depending on the need,
it's
yeah?
depending on the growing,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
you know, he does it the same way I do, it's not
Right,
like every
right.
7 days, whether it needs it or
Right,
not.
exactly.
You know, it's when, you
Well,
know,
I think that's reasonable.
I'd like to make a motion that we increase his pay from $250 to $350.
second.
All in favor?
So he's an actual employee,
Of this, yeah.
so I'm just concerned about the fact he uses his own truck, and how do we deal with that, you know? I mean, I can understand if that was contract labor, he would provide his own truck and all his own stuff like Charlie does when he's on his jobs, but,
You know, I think that's a good point.
That is a good point.
It's something that I would have to talk, I'm sort of,
yeah, someone can help.
have taken
you,
over
yeah.
the MMA insurance thing too.
Yeah,
You know what
I would
mean? And
ask
I think that's,
about
that's a
that.
really good point, where the liability is.
Or
you know,
even,
if
you
there's
know, he
an
drives
accident.
into the cemetery and he gets a flat tire because it's, you know, something sticking up in the road, and, I mean, I don't know, I would, as an employer myself, I would,
That's a great point.
I wouldn't know as I'd be really comfortable with that, without something in, you know,
No,
something determined ahead of time, so that he understands where he stands with that, and you do too.
well, I think more than anything, I've gotta call MMA, our
Yeah,
insurance carrier,
absolutely.
and run it by them, what the situation is, and
Right,
the best way for us to approach
and maybe
this.
it's okay if his employment contract says you will provide your own vehicle and be responsible for, I mean, does he have
Right.
insurance? He must, if he's got a registered vehicle, but
Yeah,
I think
I think that's something
you
that we
would
need to
wanna-
check into.
a certificate of insurance that he does have insurance on the vehicle.
So you're
No, I
gonna
think
call
It could get
MMA?
even more complicated if he goes off the road with our mower and trailer on the hitch.
I was just thinking of that same,
You know, is it our insurance that repairs the mower or replaces it, or his?
when he was doing contract, yeah. I think that's something we need to look into.
Yeah, and as I said, maybe it's just as simple as getting a statement printed up that you will sign it, you know,
Yeah.
lays out the foundation of all that.
Right, draw up a contract or something, so
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to do that, I'll follow up with MMA on that one, that's sort of another thing I do is with it, and, you know, trying to deal with their insurance stuff,
Yeah.
cause I call them a lot, okay.
Okay. All right, number 6, office cleaning and posting of position. So So we're looking at having the office cleaned periodically, the gym, this floor, the office, not so much the office itself, but in general. And whether we post it, how we post it, when we post it, or how frequent.
And you have a budget for that,
It comes down to the general.
just the payroll,
Yeah.
yeah,
Plantation
Plantation
charges.
yes,
type
that's
of
fine,
thing,
that
right.
makes sense.
So, I started, you know, I looked for job descriptions first to
Yeah.
find an old one from, you know, the past, couldn't find one, I found a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Then I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, well, how many hours, you know, like, how much, you know, I was thinking originally twice a month, and maybe one time a month would be a super section, and the other, you know, the intermediate time, so once a month maybe, you know, whatever, washing the floor, or going a little bit above and beyond, but I'm like, I don't know how many hours, I think we should pay it by the hour, our standard $17.60.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking when I put the posting up, would we wanna put approximately, or how many hours a week, and I'm like, I don't know how many hours it takes to clean this
It
place.
took me, when I cleaned it, and I didn't really do the office, cause you guys were in there, but I washed this floor, washed the bathroom, washed the hallway, took the rugs out, vacuumed the whole thing.
But nothing over here.
Nothing in there.
You did clean the bathroom though, didn't you?
I cleaned the bathroom.
Yeah.
It was maybe 3 hours.
So we could post it as an hourly wage, a minimum of 3 hours pay, if it exceeds that.
3 hours twice a month?
Do you think twice a month is really,
I think if it's gonna
Well,
be
you
twice a
didn't have
month, the
the
second one
gym.
could be a sweep up, then a wipe down, and then, I don't know that we need to have this floor
Right.
right,
Deep clean.
So that's what I was thinking, it's sort of like
Yeah, I think twice a month.
you know, a quick clean, you know what I mean, a vacuum, a sweep, and this kind of
Twice a
stuff,
month's fine, yeah.
and then.
I'm with Susan, my gut was once a month.
Just before the assessors meeting.
That's what I was exactly gonna say, right, you know, always the week preceding the assessors meeting.
You can always
So, 'cause I'm
hire
just saying, if we post it,
extras
that'd be
if
like,
you
well, how many
are
hours am I
like
gonna
the
work?
election.
1 hour, 30 hours?
So a minimum 3 hours, and, yep,
Okay.
and then maybe like there's a spring cleaning, or
it could be right
you know,
after the.
So,
Before the
so
election.
basically 3 hours once a month?
Yeah.
Okay,
post it as that.
okay.
With potential for growth.
I think we should.
No, that's,
You're good.
I think that's very reasonable.
I think, just to be safe though, we talked about, you know, a minimum, you know,
Yeah, I'm sweating.
you'll get, no matter what, you'll get paid for 3 hours.
Right,
Yeah, but they
We also
might
need to
come in
make
and
sure
say
we
like,
did-
hey,
I don't wanna assume someone would do this, but it happens, we need to make sure that someone doesn't sandbag it and end up saying, hey, I'm spending 6 hours cleaning in here,
Did
you know?
you, do that room?
I did not do that room.
Does that room need to be done?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, the lines are horrible.
so,
Also, I
then
think
is
this
3 too
floor,
little, should it be
Well, say a minimum of 3.
minimum of 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that way, you know, at least they know they're guaranteed 3 hours.
That's what I'm
That's how you
saying.
attract the person, you know it's gonna
Right.
take, especially if you're going in there, cause there's a shower, there's, you know, there's equipment, there's flies, there's vacuuming the
and maybe
windows.
you know, maybe if you determine how many hours it takes to do that,
Yeah.
then they can do it all in one day, so they're not driving here for 3 hours. and
Right,
You could do it, I don't know.
we'd like to find something local if we can.
Yeah, but I
That's
mean,
kinda
still,
what
they
we-
gotta
yeah.
tie up
So,
their
but to
time.
post it minimum 3 hours a month?
Yeah.
To
I
start.
My
Room
concern
for
was
growth.
how do we protect against someone coming in here and saying it's an 8-hour job?
well, I think we talked about somebody kind of having to be here,
Immediate,
because
yeah.
we don't want people in here.
Right,
At least not in that back office, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna find that when, the first time or two, someone's gonna be here to oversee it, and then they get a routine, you understand, we'll get a feel for it.
Okay.
When-
You know, I'm thinking Wednesday afternoons for office hours, so we could just say Wednesday afternoons is when this needs to be cleaned.
Well, we're trying to find somebody and narrowing it down, and this,
Yeah,
you
true
know what I
that,
mean?
yeah.
Unless you get a professional cleaning service to come up here, and then we're gonna pay through the nose, and that's not what we really want.
It would be nice to have this floor sort of like, get one of those machines that do
At least
brick
once.
floors, yeah. It would be really, it seems,
Can I just clarify, cause I am gonna be drafting, you know, then putting it up. Minimum 3 hours a month, $17.60 an hour in the wrong position. room for growth, I think opportunity for growth, I mean,
Yeah.
or increased hours or something, because there might be, you know, so. It's a career opportunity, Virginia.
Yeah, I see you looking at.
You always gotta it's an opportunity to get your foot in the door for greater
That's
things,
right.
you know?
Okay, what?
You pay
what
more
is
than
it
Greenville.
now?
I was working at the library for
Minimum
minimum
three
wage.
hours.
I paid for minimum wage since I was
Year
in
round.
Kingfield, the eighties.
You know, that's a great, we have so many seasonal workers though in this town, that's a great job for them. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Because you have seasonal workers in the winter, you have seasonal workers in the summer, different workers, but
Should we set a maximum hours? Am I being too nervous about this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Could be 106 hours.
I'm just trying to get ahead
He's a
of
great
3
pumper.
hours?
I'm just trying to get ahead of a conversation in 6
I
months
think
that says,
that
listen,
comes up in the interview, you know,
Yeah.
we've estimated this takes 3 hours and,
Are you making a motion?
So what's the overtime pay?
Are you,
Yeah.
right, that you're making?
I don't know. Are we making a motion to post and hire, a part-time
Now that we've discussed it, yeah,
house cleaning position?
do you wanna make it or do you want me to?
I'll make it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to post and hire a cleaning position at $17.60 an hour, minimum 3 hours a month, year-round position.
I'll second.
you know, when you have the interview, you can also tell them that if you decide that, oh, we're gonna do something extra, you know, we're going to do the floor, or the buffer floors, I mean, there's opportunity there, have some
That's
extra
the
hours.
opportunity for growth.
That's exactly right, absolutely. What about the person that does the shoveling, are they interested in?
I don't think so.
Kevin?
He might, I wouldn't be surprised.
Kevin Ross?
Yeah, he likes to pick
He's
up.
the brewmaster at Northern now, you know.
Oh, geez, no,
And
this might
But the
be.
one thing he likes about it is the flexible schedule. He doesn't like to be tied down to be here at this day at this time.
Well, in the winter, I bet he'd like it,
Cleaning.
yeah. 'cause he's-
Hey, look, we'll post it if he
We'll post it, we'll
applies.
see what
and-
happens, yeah.
That's right, you know, it can all be very flexible.
Okay, so I wrote motion to post cleaning position at $17.60 per hour, minimum 3 hours per visit, once per month, year round.
Yep.
Okay, so Justin made it, who second?
I did, David. Okay, we'll move on to number 7, Google Workspace, discussion, town emails, individual emails. Justin and Susan have been spearheading this,
So,
I like it.
I like it.
so for those who don't know, we have changed, basically, we all have our own email addresses now. And even the ones affiliated with Consolidated, which was, the Forks PLT at myfairpoint.net. We have one now that's just the office, and so what I did with that email address is that if you do use the old,
It just forwards.
general, it gives you, it kicks back a message automatically and says, oh, our email address is now office at the Forks PLT,
Super.
we're keeping this, current for a few, you know, until we're completely migrated to this new,
We can still
Emails.
get the email on the MyFairPoint, but
yeah,
the
so
person who
it's,
sent
right
it
now,
gets
it's
a
being,
kickback.
it's a duplicate, it's being,
Yeah.
it's a duplicate
Exactly,
in this
yeah, I
email
know how that works.
and another one here.
just to verify, we're talking about auto forwarding here. If someone emails the old,
Right.
general inbox, it is auto forwarded to office at,
It is.
okay,
Yes.
good.
And
they get an auto
it
reply.
gets an auto reply.
It's a
to
great-
alert them,
Yeah, and that auto reply is great. It's really
Yeah.
clear, concise.
Okay.
We no
good.
longer, we no longer monitor this inbox.
Awesome.
It goes to new inboxes, and it lists all of our individual emails too, in case people wanna be,
Right,
More specific, yeah.
take the
That's
initiative to.
wonderful.
And these personal
So-
emails are set up, first assessor, second assessor,
Yeah.
third assessor, tax collector, so
It doesn't matter who it is.
doesn't matter the
Good.
names.
And you're getting emails to them already,
Mhm.
yes,
I assume.
Yep.
yeah.
That's wonderful.
So, one thing that I'd also like to do on the website is to say, I'd like to almost, like most websites, hide our phone number so that people are using emails as opposed to a phone, because, this thing rings off the hook and people are asking, whether or not the Thai restaurant is open.
Oh,
my God.
no kidding.
Just
really?
whatever, they just are
It's supposed to rain and the
constantly-
fireworks still
Oh,
happen.
my goodness.
Yeah, no, it's just constant, and I don't think that we really need to be, you know, filtering and answering all these questions. So just like a lot of,
Those need to go to
Where-
the Chamber of Commerce.
try to find a phone number for Google, or, you know.
Right, right.
What I'm saying is, I mean, maybe not make it that difficult, but
Right.
at least, and say, we aren't monitoring this, so
On a
if
daily
you really need
basis, the
to.
best way to contact us is through this
Email.
process.
Yeah, that's a
So
great,
make it polite, but I think
Right.
it is,
it's not very, it's very common, because on a lot of
Yeah.
websites I use for work, they say the same thing. We don't monitor this, we encourage you to use email.
yeah,
Yes.
okay.
And we
So,
can
so
set up,
you guys aren't paid to staff an office?
No,
No.
Right.
Like,
No.
you know,
If they were,
and
it would be
you know, the
That's right.
inconvenience to come check an answering machine.
And write
Looking
down
for a Thai
messages,
restaurant.
I mean, yeah.
Make sure you
We-
send it to the right person.
Right.
And could you direct people on our website to the Chamber of Commerce for questions about events in the area? Or-
we can make improvements to our website that gets ahead of some of those, some of those kind of redundant questions like fireworks on,
Right.
and things like that.
No,
I don't know,
right,
I don't know
yes.
that they'll have as, I don't know they'll have any more luck getting someone to answer the phone at the Chamber of Commerce.
Well, I
either.
mean, even an email, I mean,
Right.
even
We
an
do
email.
have the Chamber of Commerce as a link
Mhm.
on our website,
Definitely.
but, you know, Peter was on vacation, the guy who
Right,
manages
right.
it, and so he's in Alaska right now, so when he comes
Okay.
back, I think we're gonna do some.
Yeah,
He did just come back, anyway,
good.
do a little bit more work on the website, just so that it.
I think it looks
is-
fantastic, and
It
as
does.
far as this
Yeah.
Google account, well, I think it's done a great job.
So, I don't know if everyone knows about, you know, when you, so this is when I open up, you know, this is the office one, and it's, I don't know why it assigns a T, I think it's because it's the Forks. This is my email, the clerk at Forks PLT, this is the old clerk of the Forks, so eventually that one I will delete, and then that's my personal.
Yep.
So if I wanted to add Charlie's onto this computer, you just add here and then sign in, with this internet is wicked slow, but, okay, so then you put in like second assessor. At, whoops, the Forks. I don't know, does everyone know how to
Yeah,
do this?
I think we've all done that.
Okay.
Everybody's
So-
done.
Justin showed me
Created
today.
their profile.
Okay, so
I'm
when,
good.
so then
Got
when
me
you,
hooked up.
when you go into Chrome, then you just choose, if I'm here, okay, yeesh. And I go, this Gmail is gonna be to the office. So, and then if I wanted, I mean, I can change it here too, this little
Yeah, so
circle.
the one at the very top, that right there, that is your Google Chrome profile. It's different than your Google Workspace profile.
Yes,
So you can have,
right.
you can leave that on the Office account and then change the bigger one below that on the right, the account. That one, the Google,
This one?
that's your Workspace profile.
Okay, so this is,
your
so
Chrome
if I
profile.
want my personal email, then I just change it.
It usually automatically will,
And then you can make this, you know, whatever, you can make them colors, so that's how you go toggle back and forth, and get, you know, the different emails that, so that you're not sending business emails from your, you know, cause I know we multitask on computers, and sometimes I'm doing personal emails, sometimes I'm doing, you know, office stuff or whatever, so I just wanted to make that clear to everyone.
Susan, something, when I was, showing Evan the day how to do it, you were just explaining,
Yeah.
something that popped in my mind is, once you, input that profile, so like, let's say you had just added the second assessor there.
Yep.
And so this is really only relevant on these two shared computers here. For a period of time, once you put the password in, it's gonna remember that.
Yeah,
And I don't think it's a big deal, I don't think it's a security issue, but just to help avoid someone accidentally logging in to the wrong account, me logging into the tax collector account on accident, just because I'm moving too quickly. I believe we can make some settings changes in the administration of this Google Workspace that requires a password every time you log on,
Okay,
which would only be relevant on these two shared computers, because that's where
Right.
Charlie might sit down,
Right,
close the window,
So-
stand up, walk away, or forget to close the window, and all these windows look quite identical, you know, and who knows, maybe Charlie happened to pick the same color you picked for your icon, and you sit down at the computer, you go, oh, nice, I'm already up here, and you start writing things, and you shoot off 3 emails that were supposed to go from tax collector at, and they went from second
Yeah.
assessor at.
I think it's important to close out of all of your applications, when you get up and leave a computer,
I agree.
close every single thing that you have going on.
Yep.
Don't leave, that's my personal thought.
Yep.
When you come in and you need to use Google Chrome, I think it's important to look which one that you're, which one you're gonna sign into, because
Agreed.
that's what, think about what you're doing and then sign in to the appropriate,
But as you noticed, you selected into 2 or 3 of those at once, and you weren't prompted to put a password in.
No, I think
Yeah.
that's a good idea, and we can do that.
I think it's
that's-
necessary.
And
yeah,
so I can
that
help you try to find those settings,
mistakenly-
yeah.
Yeah, go into somebody else's workspace. Yeah.
We spoke about that briefly, and I think it's worth making it a policy. I don't know if it requires a motion, a movement of some kind, but we spoke just, briefly about whether or not we should shut computers down when we're leaving for the night or leaving for the day. And I think that they should be put to sleep.
I do too.
I don't think that a computer should be left open when no one's gonna be here for 18 to 36 hours maybe.
I agree.
100,
So-
I'm in the habit of shutting it off, not just to sleep, but yes.
As long as it's put to
is
sleep,
fine.
as long as it's put to sleep,
It just.
You'd
I
have to
think
log in. with the
Here
password.
you can
Yeah.
go.
as long as it's put into a state when someone sits down at that computer,
It says sleep right there.
just in case that person is not supposed to be sitting at that computer, when they open it, it should prompt a password to get into it.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
So it can't be hacked if it's asleep, Justin? I didn't know that.
well, someone can't.
No, I
come
mean, the
into-
way that hackers are now, they can get
The cleaning
into
person
it.
can't come into the office
But
and
if-
just start
Okay.
working on
That's
the
good.
computer.
Yeah,
Yeah, but somebody can't come in and
Yeah.
get
Oh,
that,
really?
the screens pop up and they can
Right.
go snooping around.
Right.
right.
A hacker's gonna,
Yeah, they can do that anyway.
Is that worth making a movement to have a formal policy on that, or can we just agree to do it, or?
I think because we're learning and we're setting this all up, I think once you get it all set up to the way it does, I think that's, we have a policy pertaining to all the things that we have. Because if we start a policy right this minute, it's gonna change
Yeah.
and grow.
So maybe maybe we try to document some of these policy, visions that we have, and then in 6 months, we sit down and adopt a whole playbook of things.
100%, I
Okay.
think that's the best idea.
Because we've been playing with it enough to say, okay, this
Yes.
works, this is, you
Yeah,
know.
and that's what right now, I think, because we've taken over, we're changing a lot of, we're incorporating a lot of more controls, a lot of different things than what was done in the past, that as we make duties, we make, policies, we need to grow with them.
Yep.
You know, so once we get a couple of months under our belt, we can say, okay, look, this is time to write this policy.
This is what works.
This is what works, this is what we see,
So on these 2 computers in there, do we have, the computers remember our passwords or not?
I would not.
Because it automatically will say, do you want me to
I hit
remember
never,
this?
I hit the never button on that even on my computer.
Okay,
I never let the computer remember my password, that's just me.
okay,
I think in a shared computer,
Absolutely.
yeah.
okay,
100%.
I mean, we could go as far, this is an IT rabbit hole that we don't necessarily have to go down, but every one of those 2 computers, everybody on this team could have their own, login for those computers. So that, right now, if you open it, it's the same desktop that the person who sat there before you was working on. But you can create profiles on the actual computer itself, so that when Charlie sits down, he opens it, he uses his password, he's got his own desktop
That's
organized how
right.
he likes it.
We have that.
When Evan sits down, he's got his own desktop organized how he likes it.
when it's asleep.
There are advantages to that.
When it's
Plenty.
when it's asleep, it re-logs in, or do you have to shut it down?
We can change those, we can require a password upon awakening.
Okay,
Yeah, but I didn't necessarily wanna go this far, but maybe in 6 months we'll have established this policy that it would make sense to me that on a shared computer, that every user has their own username, desktop,
First
password.
assessor, second
Right.
assessor,
Yeah.
third
I
assessor,
think that
and
that's-
that's, each
yeah.
one has its own,
Yeah.
whatever. You know, and say the first assessor, or second assessor, whoever,
Yeah.
one overseeing, it's read only to the tax
Right.
collector, you know what I mean, not
Yep.
that type of information, but that's something that down the road is, let's
It-
get this,
That'll be a lift, because right now it's one account for the,
Yeah.
you know, the parent account of the whole computer has all the PDFs, all the files.
Right.
All the stuff that's smattered across the desktop. That might, you know, Charlie needs, when he creates his own profile on the computer, not on the Google Workspace, but on the computer, you have to migrate some of those files to his account that are relevant to him, and it's gonna take some time to figure out what's relevant for Evan, what's relevant for me, you, and, you know. That's, I mean, you're getting into now you're getting into things that people pay IT companies to do for them.
yeah, okay. So
And it's
maybe-
not, it's,
maybe
and
we
I,
don't wanna go that far.
an IT company could do that, you could pay one IT person to come in and do that in a day.
Yeah.
They could say, here's the list of 7 users we need.
Let's work with what we have with the emails and the accounts this way, and
Yeah.
then we'll revisit that as we get further along and see what that needs are as we streamline.
And in the interim, I'll, help Susan make sure that at least the 2 computers in there, even though they're operating on one profile, when you put them to sleep, which we will now do when we leave for the day, it requires a password that we will all know to get in.
Absolutely.
Okay.
so I'll say you and I will work together.
We good with that, number 7?
Yeah, and I'll just reiterate that the value of this, because one thing that didn't come up is that this does come, the Google Workspace comes at a cost. It's a per user cost. Right now, we're at the most basic, what is it, $8 a month?
$6 per user, we're at $42 per month.
And that will go up when we need a BNB account, right, or will that go somewhere, will that just go to the clerk? Do we need a BNB email?
No,
I don't
it's just
think
a-
So the clerk will be where BNB, okay.
Yeah,
So it's $40 a month now. We're gonna hope that we don't outgrow that. That comes with space, data limitations. The one that we're gonna hit the first time is every user gets 30 gigabytes of storage in their email, in their Google Drive, all the things. I'm curious to see how quickly we bump up into that. The next one up is $13 or $14 a user per month. But it has real value. Now, when these positions turn over, all of the information that this position did in this term is saved,
That's it.
On a cloud.
searchable, recoverable, trackable, and then if
so the
someone
next
sits in this
person
seat.
can go back, oh, let me see what they did.
Right,
And what's cool is that we have shared folders, so now the agenda is in a shared folder, so they can go in and make comments on it and say, oh, I wanted to talk about this tonight. And so we
Transparency
all
is what we
have
call it.
access to this agenda and,
Yep.
and then the minutes will be there and what I've been doing
That's so
too.
good.
And the minutes will eventually be posted to the website, but that's
Right,
a different task, but,
Right.
what I'm going to try to do in the future, is put the link to the YouTube video at the bottom of each minute,
oh, nice.
just so that that is the one for that meeting.
Okay, we'll move on to number 8, property assessors discussion.
I think I probably will start with this and maybe even finish unless there are questions. Bob Gingras is the property assessor that the town has used for a number of years. And I'm not gonna get into this big statewide reassessment thing right now. But basically, I talked to him, I don't know, a week and a half ago, maybe, or something like that, touched bases with him. What is it that he does? How can we help? We're starting from fresh. What do you need from me? How does this all work? Very cordial, very helpful. He said, well, what I need, he goes, is all of the permits issued by LUPC from April 1st, 23 to April 1st, 24. I asked LUPC for that, and I've got that. Bob knows that. I left him a voicemail, and I sent him an email indicating that we had that, which is something he required. The next step is that he will come up and we'll make a date, and he and Justin and I go out touring. He has a list of properties that he, wants to go back to because they had permits for development, but they weren't finished when he went and looked at them, so he has to follow up and go say, okay, that garage wasn't finished last year, it is now. So, I'm waiting to hear back from him, and we'll get a date, or multiple dates, and, as far as I know, Bob and Justin and I are gonna go out touring and looking at these properties, and we are gonna try to get, we will have an announcement on the website that this will be occurring. I know for a fact, and even for me, I was like, who is this guy creeping around with Sandy? And they would just show up at people's
Yeah.
property
Yep.
Oh, I know
last
Bob
year.
very well.
And then,
He
you know, you
checks
look
my
around and
house
there's
every
somebody,
year. Oh, what are you doing here this year? Same thing as I've been doing since
Yeah.
1906.
So you really wanna know
but
what I'm doing
I think it's
there?
nice for the, I mean, I had somebody last year send me a still image of Sandy, this guy Bob, and their vehicle, and they were like, who are these people? I got a photo of them on my property.
Right,
And so,
right.
you know, I said, this was before I was an assessor, and I just said, that's who that is, and that's what
Right.
they're doing. But I think it's good to give the,
Absolutely.
you know, as much of a warning as we can about what we're doing and why and who we
Right.
are, so.
Yep, good.
Anyway, that's in the works right now, I hope to get, and one of the reasons Dave did offer to kind of take, this off of my plate, but the thing is, I think we're looking at multiple days where it's almost all day. And I'm
Understood,
like,
I'm
you know what I'm
okay.
saying?
I
That's
just-
one of the things, I'm like, I got a little more flexible schedule than
You do have a
You know what I
lot more
mean, and so, I was like, that's nice, but,
Yeah.
but I never explained you why
Yeah.
you know,
No,
made
I
that decision,
understand
but
Justin,
that's why I did it, so.
going and it helped with that 911 thing.
Yeah, so the reason I'm gonna tag along is that'll kind of help spur me on, taking on the improvements to our 911 system, and as the person at this table with the least amount of time in town, the more I can learn who's where, and just internalize, oh, I know that property, and I know what they think their address is at least.
I have a question, did Bob, so LUPC, obviously that's, new bills, so you need to capture that as a town for tax purposes, but did he address, like, reassessing a certain percentage of, or visiting a certain percentage of the properties
Not yet.
a
He did
year?
not with me.
We haven't got that far.
From what I understand, he just makes it a point to visit the
That's it,
active LUPC permits.
and what we
Yeah,
can do
that's
though.
not entirely true.
Correct.
That's how I understood it.
No,
If he
right,
goes
but
beyond
like,
that, I don't
he
know.
definitely would do that,
And
but I
your
know that
property.
he checks other properties.
Okay,
Like, it's just some, I guess what I'm telling you is, not asking you, I'm telling you is, ask him what his procedures are, typically for other towns. You have some experience with this, Susan, but the town should be checking other properties on some regular basis. I don't know what that norm is, but obviously the permitted stuff.
That's
you
something-
I think what
check.
we're looking for there, I believe, if he's doing that, is people that have made substantial improvements to their property without going through the permitting process.
and I think the reason that this plantation doesn't do much there is because we don't have any permitting processes. We don't have any permits
No,
to
I
police ourselves,
understand
so.
that, I'm just saying that as a town, right, but not all improvements require a LUPC permit.
No,
Right.
at town meeting, we raised for Parker appraisal, Gingers, $5,000, and I think we already have $10,000 in the bank, so at some point, he's gonna do a full
He does, okay,
evaluation of the entire
The state
town.
is requiring that for 2025.
okay.
So.
I
but
mean,
this
I don't
is
wanna
just
pay
a-
more taxes, I'm just saying that there's other things that he does, but should be doing besides just the LUPC permits.
I think he does.
Yeah, okay.
He is, yeah, that was just one piece that he needed,
He needed the information for.
he needed, yes.
Right.
That was just one piece.
Yeah. Right. And I'll know more about what he does and how he does it when we spend time with him.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
like
it's just
one
a
year
phone
he was
call.
doing all the North Shore, like, he was, cause he was asking me all kinds of questions, like who owned what and where this boundary was and that boundary was, cause it's a lot, like, to understand.
Hmm.
And he does a lot of different towns, so.
I don't know 100% what his process is. He just said, that's what I need to get
Yeah,
started. I said, we've got it, let's get started. That's where we are right now. So.
Does he keep up with our tax maps? Like if property is divided and stuff?
I'm sure he has a copy. He's been doing this for quite some time, he and my mother have coffee quite regularly.
I'd be really
And he-
interested to hear, see.
I think we'll find out, when you meet with him, I think you're gonna find out, what he offers, he's got a lot more than just
Yeah.
on the
I'm
survey.
not sure about the I mean, he would have access to tax maps, but he basically goes off those property cards. And if those property cards aren't right, which was the problem with mine, it's not right, you're not gonna get the right evaluation, right? So those property cards that the town maintains are vitally important for you.
Yeah,
And for me as a taxpayer, like, that's what he has to go on,
right.
is what's on that piece of paper.
Yeah, there's a way you can get those in Trio too. There's a sketching program that you can put people's property in their, primary structures and stuff. in
I don't
Trio.
know if they're in Trio, I
They're not.
would guess they're not in
They're
Trio because they're
definitely not.
basically just, they eventually
Yeah.
gave me my copy and I said, this is
Of your
right.
card.
Hmm?
Copy of your card.
And then the updated card.
But
But
that,
when he's walking around, that's what he has, and he has
Yeah.
those cards, like, I'm just.
I've looked at the
For
cards.
weekdays,
Yeah.
Monday,
It's the only thing I can look at.
Yeah, I know. It's
So,
just-
I mean, there are maps and then there are cards,
That's
that's all I've got.
Right.
right, but the tax maps also
Monday,
have to
Tuesday,
be
Wednesday.
updated if you have 5 acres and you
Right,
leave off an
they-
acre
they
to
do,
the
and-
neighbor.
The county does update them, but I don't know how that interfaces with the town. Like, I don't know if you're informed, I don't know if the town is informed if that happens.
Yeah, we just received that from the county today. We
Yeah.
received a packet of.
That you
Yeah.
should, you
Yep.
should be
And then I've gotta
receiving
go
something
through
from the
and
county,
change
because they are the
tax,
keepers of all that.
Payer information.
Yeah, we received from the county today a packet of recent, I don't know what the window of time was, but recent transactions. So many of the transactions that have happened in the last
Okay.
month were.
Yeah.
Where they changed hands.
Right.
Yeah.
And to your question is,
Yes.
if there is, subdivision going on and things like that, that should all be captured by the county and then transferred to you.
Okay,
Anybody else on number 8? Okay, we're going to number 9, education, training, discussion.
Well, cricket, so always
Are we,
hardly ever at a loss for words. Basically, what we're trying
Yeah, I
to
wasn't sure.
discuss.
I wasn't really sure what this pertained to be honest.
Well, what this pertains to is I think that every one of us, has needs for, education, ongoing support, when we get confused, don't understand what's going on. And I think that there are a lot of opportunities that, being all adults, I think we should look at ourselves and our learning needs and do a self-assessment and say, I really need to know more about this, I need to know more about that. And we have some resources. MMA is probably the best resource. KV Cog has some good resources for financial type stuff. We have, I know like with Trio right now, we have budgeted for this year for more, monies for training.
Yeah.
And right now, we already have 4 hours in the bank for ongoing training with Trio.
excellent.
So that's Harris is another resource, for training, and there may be other ones that I'm not thinking of right now. But I think that it would be wise for all of us to just kind of spend a minute and say, you know what, I've got myself into this, all right, and I don't really know about this. I've found a lot of things, it's been one of my points of, anxiety is trying to do something that I don't know anything about, which, is difficult. But there are resources out there, and I think we need to try
Well,
to avail ourselves to them.
I know, I speak for myself, but I know Justin and I were waiting for the email stuff to come out so we could register with MMA. I don't know if you haven't, I haven't yet.
I have not either.
So, that is on my agenda and my list to do, and then go from there, 'cause
Right. They don't have a lot in the summertime. for obvious reasons, you know what I mean, people on vacation, this and that kind of stuff.
But-
But, there is a lot of,
Most of
self-learning, you know, the seminars, you can go personally, I went to a budgeting one, I went all the way to Augusta, spent the day, but I didn't have to, I could have done it, you know, whatever, Teams,
Sure.
or however they, you know, and get the credit for it. But they have a lot of different stuff.
I have 2 classes coming up that I think are gonna be beneficial. One of them is governmental accounting, it's a 2-day class.
Yeah.
Nice.
And, I think, they're like, this is not a beginner's accounting class, but that's okay, I just wanna know what they have to offer in that class. And then,
Is that through MMA?
it's through, Maine, Treasurer and Tax Collector Association, so it's
Nice.
MTCTA or something like that. And then the other classes, I've got the job now, what, and that, I kind of the tax collector job prompted me to take that class.
Is that through MMA?
That
one?
might be through,
I think that's in the.
that actually, I think it's MTCTA.
As well.
It could be MMA,
Okay,
but, yeah, the other one I know is MTCTA.
and with that comes FOAA training, so just so you guys know, within 120 days of your hire, you're supposed to have, FOAA training.
That's,
I'm a
what
little
we,
late. This is my first MMA classes, so.
Susan and I did that, we
It
did
was
it,
like, you got the job now, what, or something,
We
it
did
was
it
one
by
of those for newly
online.
elected officials is what we
Yeah.
took.
what would you call that? What-
It was an online, like a Zoom class, and it was just,
We get credit for it and everything, though, right?
yeah, we.
now, is that a class that you can take in, I mean, any time of the day I can go take it and,
No,
it's something when they set it
it's
up?
hosted,
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, and it's
So-
really like if you were going to Augusta,
actually,
you-
let's
you-
go on
you-
MMA's
you-
website.
I'll research it.
you're in there remotely, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, so you're involved but remotely.
Yeah.
So that's what I was, so, you said.
Okay, I did, okay, fine.
But anyways, that's all I wanted to say, I've got some stuff I need to do,
Yeah.
including all this property assessment stuff. I don't have a good handle on how the whole thing works.
Yeah.
You asked a few questions, good questions, I have a lot.
I think you're gonna
And
find
I
that,
think, you know, once I engage with Bob, I'm hoping that I'll learn a lot from him.
I think you're gonna find that he can help, establish a mill rate, help a lot with the assessment, and will help interact with what Evans do. I think that's gonna fill a lot of void of the conversation that Evans, needs, a lot of information that he needs, not
Right,
conversation.
there's stuff in there,
Yeah, and I
agree.
think that and this is my opinion, I haven't looked, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think, the past, board and assessors and tax collectors did a lot on their own that was unnecessary, that, you're gonna find that Bob, that's his, he does that as a,
That's
Yes,
what
sir.
we're supposed to be paying him to do.
yeah, exactly, and I think, in my own opinion, I think we were trying to do our own mill rate, and I think we were trying to do our own assessments and do the math ourselves. and-
Basically taking some of the stuff off his plate for,
Yes.
And I don't think it worked out.
So I think if we can get a
That's
contractor, and we're already paying him to do that service, I think that it might help, plug in some numbers, fill some voids.
yeah,
for
there's
Evans.
a lot of, I looked at stuff, he's got like, I'm looking at better tax, better this, I'm
Yeah.
like, what? Business equipment tax,
Yeah.
business, whatever, there's a lot, you know,
Betty,
so,
be-
better.
I just think that
Business
we
equipment
can,
tax.
that information from him is gonna
Yeah.
help Evans, tax collector, fill some void there, that would take some pressure off, having him Evan feel like he's gotta do all this extra math that he really doesn't have.
Big unknown.
I think it's already done for you, I think that we just gotta ask for it, that's all. So, and that'll come to the forefront, what you talked about, and that'll come, when you take some training with the Trio thing, and I think that's gonna, all of a sudden, you're gonna go, wow, this is, all of a sudden, all the dots are gonna connect, and it's gonna go, wow, this is gonna be easy from now on. But it's just getting there, right now, we're in that learning curve,
Yeah.
I've been speaking about, we're almost there. At least we're getting some good communication, good plans together, and moving forward. So, anything else on education and training?
I guess one last thing, I think, and it's difficult, cause I've had to deal with this, with some of the stuff. Basically, there was a lot that went on that I didn't know about because Sandy never kept me informed, and that was purposeful. And be that as it may, there was a lot of stuff that I didn't know. I've had to just dig through files. I've had to figure a lot of stuff out for myself. And there have been a few times that I've wanted to call Sandy about this exercise room waivers and all that. I couldn't find anything. I finally did, digging through the files. So I'm just want to, I guess, a word of caution about relying too much on former employees to help us as we move forward.
I agree.
We have to be very cautious about that.
Andy
That's
Webb
all.
said, we were talking, and this is a quote from Andy, and he's pretty dry about stuff, he says, but sometimes it's better to fall on your face and trip and make a mistake, because you're gonna remember that, and you won't make that mistake again. But if you're taught that way, you don't realize it's a mistake because you were taught that way and you think it's correct, the right way to do it.
That's right.
I used to give a welding class back in my day, and this old guy uses torches, and then finally one day, they blew up on him. And he said, yeah, just because you did it the same way for 20 years doesn't mean it was the right way. One of these times it's gonna fail. So, you know, we just need to find a way in our groove to move this forward from what we set out to change, to bring this town back to the forefront. And I think together, with the right training, I think we're gonna be fine.
Right. They all kind of.
From just a,
Absolutely.
I'm interested, just a taxpayer in the town, I can't believe how far you've come. I just gotta tell you that, I have all the admiration in the world for you. Sharon and I were talking about it, I didn't make the meeting last week, I was under the weather, and Sharon came back, what's that?
Last month.
Yeah, last month, yeah, and Sharon said, you just can't believe how that meeting went. And I said, well, I try to make everyone now, and I see what she means. And I just think the discussion, how everybody's talking reasonably, trying to help, not trying to hide things, not trying to stick it to somebody, which we all know went on before, and that's why we all were distressed. And
It's,
lack of transparency, and you're going the other way, trying to make everything transparent. And I think, I wish more townspeople were here to see this. But if they'd ever been to the other ones, they would certainly know, and maybe, and you know, it's okay, but if anybody asks me, I'll tell them the way it's going. It's not because I hate Sandy or anything else, but the way they did things was unprofessional, it was untransparent, and we know in some cases probably not particularly honest. And that comes out in the paper, I didn't say that, and I think,
it's just.
everybody's
moving
working, and it's
forward.
gonna take a long while, everybody understands that, mistakes, just like Dave said, are made along the way, but, everybody's trying their darndest to communicate, get the emails straight, and I just think, you know,
It's written in a management.
you guys will succeed because
We're working
you're
on
good
it.
people.
So
That's
it's,
one.
Thank
it's,
you.
And I mean that from my friggin' heart.
Thank you.
It's written in a
Thank you,
management
Chuck.
letter, that we received today from the auditor.
It's a draft.
Did he get it?
It's a draft.
I'm
It's a
waiting for
draft.
old business.
It's a draft. We'll talk about it in a minute. It's only a
Okay,
draft.
no problem.
I'm just saying that we need to move on and not move backwards.
We get it, yeah.
so,
What's done has been done, I don't know how you could never square that away, and
We know.
it's probably counterproductive to.
Trying to be positive and
Yeah.
building
That's
a
right.
winning team.
Focus on the future.
Exactly.
and it's something that this team's done really well in my perspective already, and I think we'll continue to do it well, but, you know, in the light of the reality that none of us at this table have really had someone to mentor us into the position that we're in.
That's a good thing sometimes.
It is, but in light of that, what I found, and I think it rings true, and I'll speak for all of us, and I hopefully I can get the head nods that verify it, that we're all giving each other a lot of grace
Absolutely.
for when there is a mistake, because this isn't something we've been trained on and educated for and
That's
things
right.
like that, so.
If it's coming from a base of honesty and effort and trying your best, no one can
Integrity.
hold that
Just
against
simple
you. It is,
integrity.
it's integrity and transparency.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. It's all it is, but you're doing a wonderful job and we're so grateful that.
Again, I wish more people that, you know, supported you were here to watch it and see it, but obviously they're happy they're not here, so that's fine, but if I didn't have anything to do, I wouldn't want to come down.
So,
I think it's kind of,
Charlie,
to watch you guys do it, you know.
What are some contexts in which we would be we would be inclined to wish that we could reach out to former officials that we might prefer not to. So you said the waivers for the, you know, what, I guess where are the gaps, we're like, man,
Well, the
I would love to
911
reach out to Sandy about this, we don't think
the
that's
911
appropriate.
stuff.
Okay, so I won't reach out to Sandy about
Well,
911
this is my,
stuff.
this is my concern, it's really, my concern is, again, being, if you, not everything that was done previously was not everything was done improperly, okay? A lot of
Right.
things were
No,
done
done
right. That's right.
properly.
Right.
That's
But the problem is if you're getting information from a former official, you really don't know if you're getting good information
right.
or if you're getting information that is not good, because,
Right.
you know, you look at this, a lot of things weren't done right. Well, am I getting right information, or am I getting, you know,
Right.
Whether it's
not good
intentional or
information?
not, maybe it's just not
Right,
good
whether
info.
it's intentional
Maybe
or
it's just
not,
not good.
exactly.
So the 911 improvements, it sounds like the gym stuff, you found all that on your own.
Yeah, and the same with this Bob Gingrich stuff, I just found a notebook and I started
Yeah.
digging it, and I got his number and, you know, called him and stuff like that, so it's been, you know, again, if I called the previous person, I wasn't sure that I'd be pointed in the right direction.
That's right.
They wouldn't have any interest in pointing you in the right direction, they'd
Well,
wanna
I
see you
don't know,
fail.
I don't
Well, even
know.
if they had even
don't
if they
know.
did, you just, sometimes,
You
just
know,
because they did it for 20 years doesn't mean they did it right.
that's right.
The same
You're
thing
better
with
off
just like the
starting from
welding.
scratch, yeah.
Right.
But, I think we all understand
That's right.
what we're trying to
Absolutely.
talk about here, and let's just move on.
Yep,
I mean, I still, talk to Judy because like yesterday, I got wasn't yesterday, but I got a request from an auditor for these specific tax collector, files from last year. Well, those would be stuff that she printed out or could help me print out, and in fact, she already had them printed out, ready for that. So, you know, had I tried to do that myself, it would have been painful, but she just handed them over to me. So there are times when, you know, I'm still leaning on Judy, but it's not often.
Do you feel, so in that scenario, would it have been, I'm going to like the teach Amanda fish or catching a fish kind of thing, you know? Was it super time sensitive, like you needed that right away?
But yeah, I didn't even know where to,
I think that's fair, I mean, it
Yeah.
was something under her,
yeah,
her tenure that,
she knew exactly how to print off what was needed. In fact, had, I think, 8 of the 10 of the reports in her bag, and then the other 2 she created and left on the desktop for me. So, that was helpful. But then, you know, I had her help me with 30-day notices, and I can get into that during my report, but, that what didn't, you know, you take what you can get from her, you know?
yeah, it was I would just recommend that you try to get some training from outsourced.
I know.
I know you
be
do.
careful.
There are certain events that I still like a crutch, and she's kind of that crutch, but last night is evidence that I should try another way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Trio,
Yeah.
trio's always good.
Trio, yeah, thank you. You, sometimes you learn your own lessons.
Yeah.
So anyways, okay, onto the, tax collector's report.
Okay, so, 30-day notices are gonna go out on, July 18th, so in 2 days. And then they'll be due August 17th, and we're sending 28 notices out. So then that would put us recording liens on the August 26th, should, those not come back with payment. I asked for, the 30-day notice mailing this morning of $208.60. That was based on me and Judy's calculation, but I went to the post office today and that's an incorrect number,
They
so.
went up.
It did.
Yes, I just did mine.
So it's not, it's $271.04 is what I'll need, which is $9.68 a mailing versus $7.45, so we were off by over $2, which, would be a problem had we done it in Trio last night, but our web Trio wasn't working, and so we did it in the old version of Trio, and I was just gonna mail from there. But then have to recreate it in the web version to track the expenses, but really what I'm gonna end up doing is redoing it completely, the 30-day notice process with the new expenses, so that's why having her, she just rammed it through,
Yeah.
but luckily, my real Trio wasn't working, we
Yeah.
did it in the old
And
one.
that's the type of stuff I'm talking about
That,
sometimes.
that's
You know,
exactly it, so,
You think you're getting help, but actually you ended up going backwards.
I noticed the email that Trio was down, and I don't know if anybody else saw that. There was-
yeah, and
Of
of course, I had a meeting last night at 7, and then we ended up using the old Trio, whatever, so.
I'm just saying that came out, I think, after it was, it's like, it was down, by the way.
Yeah.
It's fixed now.
You had, I know that I sent you an email approving the expense
Right,
for just the postage. I didn't put the specific number, so I'm sure that was covered.
okay. So the one part that I don't have a date for is when our tax bills this year will go out, and I
Mhm.
suppose that will help, be answered when Bob's here and does his thing.
I hope so.
We won't have taxes calculated until he's done, so, it's whenever he comes and does his thing, and then we'll figure out the mill rate and all of the other stuff, and then we can send out tax bills.
Yeah.
So hopefully that process, I mean, that normally happens in, September.
Yeah, late fall, yeah,
Yeah,
when I get mine.
yeah, so we would,
It's
run-
usually do like November 15th or something like that.
right, but we didn't send them out until November this year, but
Right.
this year I'd like to send them out on the normal
Right.
timeframe.
Right,
Because that gives people more time in the holidays, you know?
right.
Anyway, so right now it's just all about 30-day notices and stuff for the tax collector side of the equation.
Perfect. I make a motion, we accept the tax collector's report as written.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? All right, treasurer's report.
Okay, as of today, the bank balance is $89,839.64. We have run a couple of warrants outstanding, very small payroll, warrant, 2 warrants actually that combined are $904.80. And then we have a very large AP warrant, it's $47,091.10, and 34,000 of that is a pass-through to the Snowmobile Club that, their money came in June, but because we were doing year-end and Trio upgrade, it's now mid-July and we're just getting the payment out. Ideally, that would have gone out in June, but, just to close out that year. Anyway, that leaves us with, balance after commitments, $41,843.74. So, now's the time, I think, where we start looking at, payables that are large and see if we can push them out until, like, we get more money coming in.
How much of, the liens are we waiting on, the 28, roughly, do you know?
How much money is that?
Yeah.
It's not very much, it's like, it's under $20,000. So I guess, really, I mean, it's about a 50% increase of what we've got right now.
Right.
So,
All right.
it is a lot.
So, I question about the AP warrant. When I came in and I initialed, I noticed there was a whole bunch of CMP stuff. Is that all past due? CMP?
No, I break it out by, CMP gives us a bill, they give us like 6 bills, and we code it each bill separately. I don't know why we track that separately.
I think it's, I don't know why, but one of them's like a bill for here, one for the garage,
Yep.
one for the
I
property.
don't know why we track those 2 separately here in the garage.
The
It's,
pro-
to me,
and
it's,
the Moxie Lake property.
yep,
I think
dam.
the dam is another bill.
And then there's
the
2 little
streetlights.
houses.
Okay. Okay, that makes more sense, because I was like, why are we waiting? I thought we found a file full of past due CMP bills.
No, we just
No,
track
it's like-
every
I was
single,
like,
we
what-
track
We get
every
six-
single
six-
building
6
separately.
CMP bills every
We
month.
don't need to.
I had 7 separate CMP bills for my property where I live, 7, every month.
It's all-
They come all the same
So
day.
each meter gets
It's
its own.
all by meter, I think.
Each
There's
meeting
no
gets its
usage
own
somewhere,
meeting.
so you can identify where.
They
Okay.
just, that's just how they do their billing.
All right, that makes more sense, to me. Then I would,
Maybe it's for every,
meeting.
It is, every meeting.
Yeah,
oh,
Mhm.
you can identify problems with
Every
overusage,
meeting.
there's, you know, it's good to have them separate.
All right, so we start,
Now, the other reason our balance is really low, because we had raised money in October of last year to move to other long-range road accounts, stuff like that, 10,000 this month, and that didn't happen until the end of the fiscal year, just because it just slipped through the cracks, and so, that money was just moved last month. So if you're thinking, geez, I thought we were at a different number last month, but we were 20 grand less because of that
okay.
also.
So that goes back to the number 3, we talked about the AP and payroll, reviewing that process. Giving what we have in our budget for the upcoming future, let's, make sure that we all are on the same page if there's anything big that we,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? We need to know what, we need to stay within our means. I don't wanna go.
I think we're getting really, really close.
Yeah.
Um,
This is pretty lean, and I understand that we had to play catch up, there was stuff hidden in files and stuff that we're playing catch up, but
We had a lot of expenses in the last few months that will not repeat. I mean, we had a giant, lawyer bill that is not gonna be that present anymore. We
Yeah.
had, that payroll correction
mhm.
for Judy, that was a
Yeah.
that was a big
Yeah.
check.
And extra money we were paying for this audit.
The audits
We
cost
understand-
a lot more than we thought and stuff like that, so, those are expenses I don't see just keep hitting us in the face.
Hopefully
And-
we're done with the lawyers and.
I think it's important for our citizens at meetings that we have, that they hear that they know that these are not expenses that you incurred. But you have to pay the bill.
We hope that people understand that,
Yeah.
yes.
And we're responsible for managing what's there now, so it's, you know,
That's right.
so,
A big hit.
to reiterate, you know, as the 3 of us initial these things, over the
So I'll
next
be
2 or 3
watching.
months, we need to be really caught, if there's,
Absolutely.
but I guess the question I have is, what is it that we can punt? Like, how much is there that we can actually punt without incurring late fees and?
Well, I mean, you can, well, okay, let's step back for a second. We know we're gonna be sending out tax bills at some point in the fall, and it seems like a long time from now, but it really isn't. It's gonna go pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you think about cycles of paying bills is only every 30 days anyway, so
Mhm.
it's only a couple of cycles.
Mhm.
And, so, we just we wanna get the tax bills out, in a prudent time frame so that people have the opportunity to start sending this money back in, you know? And,
So we would like to get Bob up here for this assessment tour as soon as we can, cause that's the next step in that direction.
yeah, and I think we're not behind the 8 ball or
I
anything,
think we're on
I think
time.
we're still on time, yeah. But definitely, let's keep that ball rolling.
Moving forward, yeah.
And then other than that, I'll monitor the account for any kind of, you know, things, any kind of income coming into the account. But if we go down to 30,000, I'm gonna send an email to you guys to let you know that we're down below, should we have stuff clear that takes us down there, so.
Okay, good.
We're gonna keep monitoring it, but that's where we're at.
Go ahead.
Can I ask the treasurer what the legal lawyer fee bill was?
So that was just, that was the ongoing stuff from last year.
Right.
That,
She wants to
But
know
what
how
was the
much.
total? How much? I never knew.
it was like $8,000 or something was the total bill paid.
That was for the last, I'd have to look at that.
That might have been.
When I first came on, I was pressing to get
I know.
that bill, that was 8,000.
Mhm.
That was from
It was a big time for me.
November.
November.
Yeah, you
All
had
the
gone
way
in
till, like-
prior to November,
Yeah.
right?
So that was just for that time period. My calculations, to be honest with you, for legal fees associated with both audits, which was the 21 and the 22, came to approximately $20,000 in entirety, but it wasn't that one bill. The
No.
last bill we paid, which was for pretty much the last year, was about $8,700 or something like
Okay.
that.
But it still, all goes against what the normal budgetary.
Oh, no question about it.
Yeah, the money will be there.
You look at Carrot Top, they spent like $1,800 on legal fees last year, same with these guys.
And it was
you know,
never
there's-
brought before us as
There
taxpayers.
was a lot that was not brought
It was
before
never
us, that
brought
we're
before
figuring out,
us
yeah.
to decide if we were going to
Yeah.
incur these expenses or not.
We're gonna ensure that you guys,
Absolutely.
everybody that's gonna know, everybody that asks a question is gonna get an answer.
I know,
'Cause
I
we
know,
don't-
and I
there-
tried
this
to
is-
do that, yes,
This is ours, this isn't mine.
that's right,
And that's the attitude that we're all sharing, so.
thank you for that.
So I make a motion, we accept the treasurer's report as written.
I'll second that.
All in favor? And clerk's report?
Thank you, Evan.
Yeah, thank you. Good job, every all around. It's a lot of work.
So we did we talked about BMV. I do want permission from the board to go to post on the website, hours of being, to basically let everyone know in the town that August 1st is the last day that they'll be able to, or July 31st will be the last day that they can go to Moscow, and that they will have limited service here. Basically I'll write something up and send it to the board for approval, and then ask Peter to post it to our website.
Do we have to put all the particulars that we're gonna get approval from both boards? I think it was just on the website, just need to put, the hours, right?
Yeah, I'm
And contact.
asking your approval to put the hours on the website.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, well, I make a motion, we, let Susan keep the website up to date on hours and anything pertinent to
Yeah, and
BMV position,
the
And I will,
transition.
just confirm again with Wendy on Thursday, exactly, inventory,
Yeah.
just so that I have the wording correct on the website
Yeah, 100%.
before I go ahead and do that, okay?
Yep. And you'll ask her about the forms, like,
Yes.
Okay.
The form for the agreement,
yes,
yes,
okay.
And I think you have to fill out a form too.
yes, we do.
Yes,
It
you
has to
do,
be
yeah.
both, yeah,
Yeah.
both towns, yes, and she wants them filed
So,
with her,
so as far as the website goes, you're gonna post, to be clear, you're just gonna post the new hours and the contact per people, and that, who it is, when, and what we're limited to.
Exactly,
And
yes.
Denise has a new registration as of August 1st.
Exactly,
Okay.
yes, but I think that we probably should have all that paperwork
Done
in
Friday.
place before
Probably,
we
yeah.
actually
Before you-
spill that
Before you put it
information.
on the website.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
just because we
Yeah.
want, if BMV for some reason says this isn't signed right or whatever, that we just wanna make sure that,
Before we put it out there.
yes,
Yeah, okay.
so that's what I'll work on.
And just to clarify, BMV related business should be filtered to the clerk at the forksblt.org email address, or to you
Yeah.
as the clerk.
I mean, for
Should it be
another
okay?
$6 a month, I feel like, yes,
Okay.
we'll just,
For now.
for now,
Yep.
that's what we'll say. I was going to ask for new chairs, but I don't think I should right now. I
Since
think
the
you all should
treasurer's
stand
report.
up and look at the seats that you're sitting in.
Yeah,
They are,
I can feel it.
they are stained and really, anyway.
let's get through this.
Yes.
Once we get some new monies coming in, maybe we can ask the town.
However, I am going to ask for these, and
To
if
keep
Evan
updating the
could
board?
just, yes,
Oh,
if
yeah.
Evan, I took the names off from them and they crumbled.
Yeah.
So we need, I found one just before this meeting, $5.97 for a bunch of them, on Amazon, but Evan, these are one, could you order these on Staples, at Staples?
Yeah, if you give me what I'm looking for,
Yeah,
like
it's just-
the code of the, I can look
The
it
item
up.
number,
Yeah,
Item number, that's the word I'm
or a
looking
link,
for.
Like, whatever you find on Staples,
Yes,
just send him the
please.
link to it.
That's true, that works
Okay.
too.
And then he can send out the
they're just
approval.
1-inch bulletin board letters.
Yeah.
That's important to keep the people, updated on
Yes,
who's who and what.
Yeah.
So, that's,
yeah, and I haven't really looked at the rest on the other side of the board, like on the left side. I don't even know what is over there, so.
That's postings, isn't it? I think it's like the general assistant's posting, isn't it, or just paper.
Bless
Bless you.
It's whatever is there, it hasn't, I haven't updated anything on that side, and I suspect that it probably needs to, because we're not a good general person.
anything else for your minutes?
I think that's
Are you
it.
for?
Pardon me?
Anything else for the clerk's report?
Nope.
Okay, make a motion, we accept the clerk's report.
Second.
All in favor? Acceptance of the minutes.
And I did not print them out for you guys.
Email them, though, correct?
I did email them, but I didn't print them out yet today.
Yes, last one. I'll make a motion to accept the meeting, the minutes as they are in the email, and you can print them and file them if they need to be. And, go ahead, Charlie.
I second.
Okay. All in favor? All right, old business.
Well, I don't know if this goes under old or new, but, so my understanding was we were gonna have a different PO box for the tax collector, which I'm indifferent if we end up doing that or not, but, we don't have it yet. If we thought we did, we don't have it yet. The box 35,
We don't have it yet.
Okay.
I have the paperwork for it, I think it's $100.
okay.
I haven't gone through that. I think probably that might be another EBT card job that we'll have to do. I'll double.
Which I can do when I'm there.
Right, I've got the form already.
We should get it so he can start adding it to his,
I've already given it out, so I'm gonna get them just one-to-one person, but.
PO Box 35.
I did. And she goes, "What's your address?" I go, "Mine or the tax collector?" She's like, "Tax collector." I go, "Box 35."
So
So
we need
that's
to
a little,
put that on our website too.
yeah.
not yet
Well,
though.
let's make sure we can, somebody get that.
I've got the form in there, Julie gave it to me. I
Okay.
just haven't, it's one of those things when it comes up, you're like, oh, yeah, I gotta do that.
Yeah,
So that, oh, yeah, I gotta do that.
okay. Anything else for, old business?
Isn't the audit gonna be,
That's not old business.
it's not?
new business.
Okay.
Seems
Oh,
very
Been
old.
old, it's been old business for the last.
Oh, I thought it
Well,
was
we
a
It
lot.
is 2022. That is
All
old.
right, we'll move on to new business
Can I
then.
just ask one thing?
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I know at the last meeting, we were discussing, like you were discussing the leases up at the pond, and you were wondering, whether we were gonna, you mentioned researching into whether
Yeah.
you were gonna sell lots, or that we weren't in the lease business. Have we got anywhere with that?
We have not discussed that any further. We're
Okay,
trying- So we're
that's
trying to
fine.
get through the year end and get
Yeah.
everything squared away,
And that's fine.
and so we can start from a
Good.
slate to move forward. We're still
Yeah.
trying to finish the old stuff
Yeah,
and clear that plate. We actually haven't had, I think at some point we'll have a workshop to talk about it,
yeah,
and part of that will come out in the next segment.
yeah, that's fine.
So, yeah, there's a little bit more to it, and, as we talk about, new business,
Good.
you might get some more information.
And the other part that I'm here tonight for is new business, am I understanding that?
Yeah.
Okay, no problem, I thought it was really old.
Yeah, me too.
It is, but it's not.
That's okay, we'll do
It's
it
old,
then.
but it's new, so. New business, I'm not sure, what we wanna talk about. I know we got a draft, management letter. I breezed through it, I didn't print it, I don't know if you printed it. If we wanna discuss it, or do we wanna wait till the final copy? We can certainly discuss what we see on there.
I know that, I don't feel that I had enough time to digest all that information to have a substantial conversation. Didn't we just get that draft
Today,
Yes.
yeah, that's why.
I like the management letter because it spells out our deficiencies and where we can
Yeah.
improve, and that's like a playbook.
Yeah, it
about
is.
How to improve.
And that
so-
was the.
And it wasn't harsh either,
Yeah,
it was well done, I thought.
Yeah, of course.
yeah, on its face, it all looks well done and it looks good. It's just,
Yeah.
I mean, we've just got it, there hasn't been any time to digest it, outside of reading it aloud right now and taking the time to do that.
Yep.
I don't know how much of a substantive conversation could be had about it,
So
given.
we have to wait another meeting
I-
before we get to see it?
We
Yeah,
don't
you
even
have
have
to
a
anyways,
final
'cause we
copy
all we
yet.
have is a draft.
Yeah, I don't even know if we're supposed to share what we've
This-
received today.
I can answer to that, speak to that a
Okay.
little bit.
Okay.
Because I did have a very brief conversation, with Ron Smith today at his request about the audit.
Yep.
What he told me was that while that is a draft and there is a notification about confidentiality and who it can be shared with, that is 100% up to us, who we share it with and when. He also said, and you'll see in the whole audit, there's a letter where we either approve his findings, or if we don't approve of them, we check that, and then it specify what particular parts of the audit don't you approve of.
That's what got us started in the first place.
But the fact of the matter is, as he said, we're not gonna find any fault with the audit, because none of us were here. We're gonna have to accept it at face value.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not gonna sit here and, we weren't here, it's not about work
Right,
that we
right,
did.
Right,
And so we can't take issue with his
Exactly,
findings, because,
exactly. I
what was
understand.
really not us that would take issue with it.
right, right.
So,
So
I-
who would take issue with it?
the prior
Taxpayers?
administration.
Oh, well, when do we get a say?
As soon as we get an actual copy,
Okay,
of the audit, of the official copy, we can actually.
Yeah, which shouldn't be long, it's a matter of checking. and
I, for
signing.
one, in my own opinion, you guys we can vote on it if you'd like, but, I, for one, am not into, keeping any secrets.
No.
If
Oh, yeah.
it was out there, there's a confidentiality for our eyes only, our eyes is the public.
Yeah, he said, it's up
I
to you guys,
know,
you can
and
share it.
that's what
He
I'm
said
just
that,
reiterating, that
okay.
I
It's
would,
up to you guys,
you know where I
100%, so.
I get the sense that he knew that this meeting was today, and he scrambled to get those deliverables to us today.
Yeah.
Exactly.
well, that's nice, because we've been waiting forever, Justin.
Oh, I understand, oh yeah, I understand, I'm just,
the light's there, it's
I
shining.
honestly
I would have
came to
loved to
this
have
meeting
some time as a
expecting
board to sit down and deliberate about that and be able to present it, but it was not presented to us in time to put anything coherent. I just saw that an hour before this meeting.
Yeah.
Other than, I mean, yeah, I don't know. And
don't know.
I honestly just, I might have overassumed, I thought that I thought about printing it out and bringing it, but I didn't even know if the draft was supposed to be shared. I kinda thought it wasn't gonna come up today,
Well, it's new business.
and I was upset about it.
It's something that's been going on for months and months
I know.
now.
Years.
Well, I honestly came to the meeting tonight, and my only comment was going to be that I really had given up, and I didn't expect that we were ever going to get it,
We are.
that it was just going to go away. And,
No, we haven't.
and I'm reinvigorated.
You wanna know what really happened? I sent Ron Smith a text and said we had our assessor meeting Tuesday
Good.
evening,
Good,
and
what are you supposed to do?
we need to answer to the public, and we're not able to.
That's
You
right,
need to help us.
that's right, and he definitely needed to.
And so he did scramble
That's wonderful.
to get that, but the way it was delivered, as he's got, I mean, it's like, you don't even know what it says, because we
Right.
haven't had a chance to process and read it. I don't think we're gonna find any issue with it, we're not in a position to take issue with it, whatever the findings are.
The management letter goes through kind of best practices, which shows us where there's deficiencies, and none of it was bad. It was just, normal stuff that I read. And then, I did kind of leaf through the entire audit, looking for specific big red flags, and there weren't any that I saw, but I did go through it quickly. I
So his
went through
audit-
the whole thing, though.
His audit wasn't consistent with Keel Hood?
No, it was a
Different
completely
year,
different
this is
vibe.
2022,
This is
Do
the
we have
next year.
2021, 22?
That's what this is.
that's what
Oh.
this is, I just think, this is 21-22.
Okay.
Keel Hoods was 2021, okay? I just go by the second numbers.
Right,
how I do it.
right.
So did they
So-
do Keel Hood's audit redo that audit too?
That's already
That
been
was,
done,
yeah, that
that
was
was done.
a year
Yeah,
ago.
and we've
Okay.
got,
But initially, when he was at the meeting, the public meeting that everybody came to,
Yeah.
I believe he was talking about the 21-22 audit, because he said you weren't going to like the results.
that's correct.
Because there is $150,000 of money
Unaccounted for.
unaccounted for. And
So that hasn't changed.
that,
Well, what has changed is it's identified, and what the management letter, I believe, and everything that he sent will identify how that happened and the deficiencies, and I believe under one of the subtitles, he has to do with software, use of software, not being used effectively and properly. So, that's one of the areas, you know, where a deficiency was found. So, and there are other areas as well, so.
so we can expect that we'll get a copy of that
When we get,
when?
when we get a real copy, you'll have a copy.
So not until we get a final,
Until we get one, right, like I
okay,
said.
so we can't see the draft then?
And it will be, as soon as they publish it, it should go out to everybody.
I think it's the first assessor, it's actually addressed to Sandy,
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
but, I think it just requires your signature and say I had no issue with it, and that will initiate the final version, so.
Okay, I think that's what,
I think.
Is it worth scheduling a workshop together to go over it together? Should we just read it on our own and send any comments we might have to
I
Dave?
think we should have a workshop on it myself.
I agree. It's an important thing. I mean, I know we're all anxious to get it behind us.
It shows,
I'd love to just say, send us the final copy, please, but it seems like we're at the finish line here. But finally, let's get it,
Get it right.
let's finish right, let's get it done, put it behind us.
Not just quickly.
Not like get finished in a hurry and then find out in 6 months
Oh.
with a little bit more scrutiny, we could have avoided another headache. You know,
yeah. I can do that.
okay, so I think a
We got a
workshop.
hard copy out there, you know.
Oh, you already do?
Yeah, I
Okay.
printed one off earlier.
I can sign that then, yeah.
I would I cannot imagine that I don't think there are gonna be any changes that we really have. I don't wanna speak too soon, we haven't had a workshop yet. I can't imagine that
He
if there are
told me
any,
himself, he said there aren't gonna be any
and
changes.
if that's the case, one workshop,
I like that, at least
Yeah.
it was like honest,
That's what Ron
right?
told me.
Yeah. So one workshop to get our
I
heads
like
wrapped,
him,
get our heads wrapped around it as a team.
don't waste your time.
The AOK comes from first assessor.
Yeah.
It should be no time at all to get the final then. It's just taking the draft nomenclature off.
I'm gonna hold you to that, Justin.
I think we should hold
We're
him to
gonna hold
that.
ourselves to it,
I
trust
think-
us, we
yeah.
want this behind
I
us.
know, but he's been dragging his feet for so long that.
There's been a lot of work though,
Do you-
these guys had to do a lot of work just to get the,
Yeah, but he told us
softwares
a
and-
long time ago.
He told us a year ago.
I'm not talking about these guys,
We went
I'm
just like
talking
this.
about him.
A year ago,
Yes.
August 8th of
He told
last
us
year,
it
he
was
said, I
done.
can have that to you in 7 days.
Exactly.
You won't like it, but I can have it to you in
That's
7
right.
days.
That's
That was a
right.
year ago,
Yes, I
11
agree.
months,
I agree.
less than,
Absolutely.
less than 11 months. I mean, that was,
yep,
That's what I mean, so, you know, to say that it's gonna just be a quick turnaround on his part, I don't,
11 months in a week,
yeah.
2 weeks.
So what we can do is try to hold that workshop
Yes,
soon.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So this is just the management letter, it's not the audit though, right?
We have both.
We have both,
Oh, we have both?
Yeah.
Okay.
but it's not, I haven't looked at it. I want to be able to answer a question and say something.
Okay.
I only read through it.
You know, as we read it, and then we can answer the question, we'll have it as soon as we promise. But if he knew it was today, and he gave it to us at the 9th hour.
Cause he's had it done.
He's waiting for a new regime to come in so he could move on.
I think I printed it off at 3:30, it came in
See?
today,
So,
something like that, 4 o'clock.
So it may not be 100% what everybody wants to hear, but it's better than we don't know anything and
I-
we're still waiting. So at least we have some
You have it.
movement
I
Well,
from,
and thank you
from
for
the,
following up on that, Charlie,
you
because
know,
that's
that
what
we
was
have
needed.
some movement
Someone
from the
needed to
standard.
prod him.
I didn't wanna have to answer to you, Tom.
No, I don't blame you, and I was gonna come every single night.
You're telling me that right now.
I didn't realize-
You used to come and sit on this
I know.
side.
What I can tell you this, what I
Exactly.
briefed through,
Yeah.
I can tell you that the past management, past assessors and whoever was involved, coached them to get to where it is today to make it look better than it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
Barring that information, we want to move on.
I agree, I
Right.
do too,
So
yes.
once this is out, the state can do their thing, and we can move on and move forward.
Mhm.
It took us forever to get here, but here we are, and
Right,
I think the most important thing for us about that is it points out where there are deficiencies, and I said to him, okay, I know where we were.
yeah.
I'm not really sure if we are where we need to go,
mhm,
so I'm kinda like, that's where we
But this is
were.
gonna help.
This is where we are,
Right.
this is where we need to go, it's a progression.
right,
That's what the value it has, is saying this needs,
That's
how this
right.
is being done has to be done
that's
differently.
right,
So that's where the value
That's-
comes for us.
that's
It's a-
exactly right.
It's a roadmap, as Evan said, for
Absolutely.
improvement.
And honestly, I'm only speaking as a citizen, but I would like to think that none of those people have any input into anything that this town does going forward, help or otherwise.
I have a question.
I mean, I don't care how much we pay for Evan to be trained and educated, but I'm very uncomfortable with any help that comes from those.
Do the trio balances actually match the bank statements now?
Not yet,
Not yet,
but that's,
it's coming.
well, they're in 22, so, I can't wait for that either,
It must drive you crazy.
Oh, it drives you batty.
Yes, of course
It drives you
does.
batty.
It must have, and it must be very difficult.
well, it's just, RHR Smith is doing past reconciliations to try to get there. I think they're on 23 right now, and, it would be very helpful to me if our balances were proper, so I
Of
could do my
course,
reconciliations
course.
the right way.
Of course,
But we're getting there, so,
good,
you
that's
know,
all we can ask.
yeah. And they're doing the, next 2 audits in tandem, I think.
They said that, yes.
So we'll be caught up when they get done with the next one, so.
Good,
As in the fiscal year that just ended on.
Like-
yeah,
And
right,
hopefully
Yeah.
those 2 years won't be that difficult,
right,
since they.
Well, yeah.
Well, we're in one of them now, so it's us doing the work. And
Yeah.
the last one is last
With
year.
their assistance,
With their assistance, so we should be doing things
right.
the way they wanna see it, and their audits will be cheaper as a result.
Right.
Anything else on new business?
well, I just have a question, but I don't think it's new business, I don't know what it is, but, you know, the gym in there,
Yeah.
I heard reference to things that, like, it's really dirty, et cetera. Are people currently using it?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, because I think, there's really very, I don't know, strict is a good word, but.
Oh, it was
there's
very
certainly
strict.
Very strict guidelines, if you have gym equipment that multiple people are using, and I think, we are exposed for liability.
It just needs to
tremendously
be
in
sprayed down between.
there.
We're hopeful with this
Probably
cleaning
those
thing,
same wipes
it's
used
gonna
in
help us
hospital.
get this back to, and more friendly of a town, some people will start using it.
Right,
But with that, it will be, because I don't think anybody's used it since COVID, to be honest with you.
right,
So,
okay, that's good to
I
know.
think what we'll have is the sprays and
Yeah.
the reg requirements on your sign, and
Yeah,
we will
if
probably
you
issue,
don't-
we haven't
we
talked
have
about
to
this in,
use-
in depth, but I
Yeah.
think that's,
well, that's good, that's good.
There are nice machines in there, though.
Yeah.
yeah.
It'd be nice when it's friendly again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You write that into your user agreement, that you as a user are responsible for cleaning up after yourself,
and
and
if
you
you
provide
don't,
the
then you
products.
don't use it again.
And then, once a month, so
Yeah.
somebody will
Yeah.
come in and actually.
And if you
do a-
question, just spray it before you use it.
I'm starting to work on this a little bit.
Good.
I have to tell you, it's not on the top of my pile.
Right.
No, I'm
Right.
sure.
I did get the old waiver, okay, and I looked
Mm-hmm.
at it, and mostly, it doesn't seem to me to be a legal document. It says, don't share keys, do this,
Okay,
don't do
okay,
that,
all
you're on
right.
camera.
It isn't a real reason.
Sign in.
You know, I
And
question
don't
it.
forget to sign in, because if Sandy sees that you were here, and then she goes to check the sign in, and if you didn't sign in.
Yeah, but she sees you on the camera, then
Yeah.
you'll be kicked out. It has more to do with that. And it's not a very user-friendly agreement, it's not, you know.
It's not a release.
But I'm not sure it's legal either. But what
No.
I can tell you is that MMA assured me
Oh,
that we are covered. They know we have a gym, and
Okay,
we know that members of the
Super.
community use it,
super,
okay?
Oh, good.
And our
That's good.
exposure is covered
good.
at this point in
Oh,
time.
super. That's all that.
But I
needs to
think
know.
before we start using it again and
Yeah.
encouraging people to use it, I'm gonna have to get
Clean.
a
So you're
better,
gonna
clean,
change the
but a better
keys?
liability waiver, and actually a legal
Yeah.
document, not one that says, if you share
And change the
keys and somebody
keys so
comes
that you
in, then
have
you'll
the
get kicked
keys.
out, and
Yeah.
it's not,
We all signed one that we ever been to a gym.
Super.
yeah, that's, you know.
That's great. Well, thank you. Yeah, I agree.
All right, I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
At 9:03.
Oh.
So 2.5
We're gonna
hours.
get these meetings trimmed down, David.
Well, you know,
He's still cleaning up mess.
we're still on the back.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah.
It's like everything
Thanks
else,
for coming, see you guys.
Either.
like everything else, a work in progress,
That's
right?
right. Good night.
Who seconded that?
I did.
Sounds like it's raining.
It did drizzle a little bit, yeah.
Oh boy, I'm so glad I brought my motorcycle.
Yeah.
I put, sticks in the windows.
Oh, you did, okay.
That
I
little
see.
white, yeah. It's the only thing that holds them up.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna try to attend that,
Okay. Let me get the camera.
Please.
I'm gonna try to attend the county FEMA meeting on July 31st. It was in my inbox, I'm gonna,
Oh, the county job.
yeah. But that reminded me when I saw that, Dave, what, you were mentioning something about a preparedness plan with Brookfield and
Yeah, that's Thursday.
this Thursday?
Yep.
Okay.
Did you sign up? for it?
Excited you're doing your
I
training
wanted to
before
go, so
August
I'd like to.
1st.
Now that I've switched over to the